Welcome everyone to the Dramatica Users Group. Tonight we watched the very happy Doubt, the crowd pleaser from 2008, based on, does anybody remember the writer-director's name?
John Patrick Shanley.
Shanley, yeah, I think it's based on his play, Pulitzer Prize-winning play, with some pretty good, decent actors and actresses in it. They're okay.
Yeah.
No Oscars.
I've heard of one of them.
Yeah, so what we'd like to do first is identify the 4 through lines of the story. So does anybody have any idea what the overall story is for Doubt? Oh, wait, let's, well no, actually all of them are going to be difficult. Okay, let's try.
Well, how about solving the mystery with did the priest molest the child or not?
Okay, does everybody like that? Did the
Well,
priest?
determining if a priest is a pedophile.
Okay.
Without
Everybody good
using
with
that language in 1964. Yeah.
Right. We had a preference. So does everybody like determining the priest was a
Well,
pedophile?
I guess they weren't trying to prove, but trying to prove that he was a pedophile.
I
Proving.
mean, how specific do you want us to be like? Do you want us to actually use the...
I don't want to use pedophile for some reason. Probably because I'm
Well,
Catholic.
corrupt is the word they used in the... Did he corrupt the child?
Oh, is everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there, well, yeah, is
Oh,
there any
go
funny
ahead.
business? Is there any funny business going on? You know, trying to.
Funny business is a little light.
Okay.
Is there any inappropriate?
Relationship.
Conduct.
Yeah.
This doesn't need to mince words. I mean, it's written in 2008. He means he's a pedophile.
All right.
That's the intent.
Others intent.
I'll just put a question. Is the priest
Abusing a child. Abusing one of his
Older
parishioners
boys.
at the school. Older boys.
Ultra boys? Okay.
I really think it's more the student in the school.
The
Because-
student?
Is the same.
Right, well, no, I know they're the same, but she's a principal.
Yeah, you can put it
And so it's more, that's where her protection comes in, is over the students as opposed to.
Student. Okay. Abusing students.
That's
That's fine. I mean, we all know it's
Right.
what it's all about. It's
Because
all
there's also a question not only about the black boy, but there was this other boy who.
London.
Yeah, who seemed to maybe, you know, there's some suspicion there.
And then what was the deal with the third kid?
There's more than one.
Who was the third kid?
Third kid?
Third kid was the one that was ringing the bells.
Right, he was the good altar boy.
He's the one that sits next to Donald.
But it didn't seem like there was.
I didn't feel like they made any insinuation about that.
No? You didn't
Oh,
think
I
he was
did.
a little jealous or something? Like,
I don't know about jealous, but
something.
something like was off about it. He knew something was wrong.
Does anybody
Yeah.
have any feeling about that kid?
I didn't pick up anything on that.
Nothing?
I think he wanted to be a priest.
Oh.
Well, Donald did.
No, and I think the other
Oh,
one
and the
wanted
other
to be a
one.
priest. And
He
very
just-
possibly, the two of them wanted to be priests for different reasons.
You mean the kid when he comes in, he says, "Do you think I'm fat?" Or
Yeah.
that kid interacts with him in the
the
first
one he's
scene.
talking to.
Yeah.
25.
I
Is
think all the ones that kind of acted out were the ones that he might have.
Well, that's the one that's a teacher's pet. He gets sent to the.
Yeah, and he like acted out, and then the other kid, the bully, I think he
There's
was kind
definitely
of
some.
the other
There's,
one.
I believe
There was a
that
look
there's
at
enough
the end.
focus on him that
There's
you're
something.
meant to think that he knows something. Or
Maybe
he's
you're
going-
supposed to have some doubt as to what.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Alright.
And the blonde kid
Well, that
smiles
could
at
be-
the end, so
Yeah.
it kind of insinuated his.
Yeah.
That there
he
was
was
some
happy to
kind of
have it drawn.
retribution. Okay. Alright, that's it. We can be done now. We don't have to do the rest, right?
One more.
Alright. How about main character?
Is it Sister James?
Sister James, okay. That's the Amy Adams character?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sister
I vote for
Aloysius.
Sister Aloysius.
Yeah,
And you like Aloysius? Okay. Sister Aloysius. There's only one other person. Which would be
Father Flynn.
Flynn?
Father Flynn. Does anybody think it's Father Flynn? No.
Not the main character.
If you were to put Father Flynn somewhere else, where would you put him, perhaps?
Well, as the antagonist.
The antagonist? Okay.
I mean, we don't know if he's a villain or not. That question was intentionally unanswered, but he is the antagonist to Sister Aloysius' the protagonist. He is the reconsider character, very clearly.
He does have that wonderful "you and I are just alike" moment.
Yes.
So there's an argument to make for him being the influence character.
All right, so for main character, for those of you who think Sister James, why would you say that? What would be your argument for that?
I just felt like we as the audience were kind of situated with her point of view on the story.
Do you have like examples? She's definitely the one that is new to everything.
She's new to everything. She I don't know.
Well, as far as the focus goes, and certainly in the beginning of the film, you see, other than from church, we learn about the kids through the school, her classroom, and that's through her eyes. And it's her who sees Father Flynn with Donald's shirt in the locker room, and it's her who initiates the reporting to Sister Aloysius that sets other events into play.
There were also a lot of moments with her by herself, like in her room, sleeping, like experiencing the weather, and just kind of having this, with the other
Waking up,
nuns at night,
getting
waking
dressed,
up,
yeah.
So what?
going through the routine of being a nun in that.
So the routine
place.
of being a nun. So what? How is her reporting any different than what's up here?
Yeah, I'm in favor of Sister Aloysius, so I was just...
Oh, okay. Well, you're making a convincing argument for James.
But she has like the insight on everything that's
does?
going on, Sister James.
Amy Adams does?
Oh, no, hold on. Which one's Sister
This is
James?
Amy Adams, and this is Meryl Streep.
Oh, no, right. Just kidding. Sorry.
This is Streep.
Wrong one.
God, she was so good.
She's okay.
No, I agree. It's not her best
What
performance.
was really
but it's good.
creepy was Philip Seymour Hoffman when he's at the beginning reading. He's just like kind of stroking his cards.
Yeah. Oh,
So
you did.
creepy. Just what he does. He's just
So like I grew up like in that there.
Mm-hmm.
So
You know what that's all about?
So weird. So
Was
The
it,
nails,
was it
the
really
nail
creepy?
thing, fingernail.
Just
that
like-
felt like a real incident. I mean, that was like, God, that was creepy. But it's like, I believe that
It was
really
such
happened
a
in this
real
author's
priest.
experience.
It was
Yeah.
so real to me, and
Yeah.
she was so real.
So real.
Yeah.
So yeah, for the main character, it's important to find something that's apart from the overall story. That's not part of this reporting. So is there
True, but
kind
you do
of
feel. Well, actually, I want to speak up at the end after we've gone
Sure,
through the
sure.
impact character.
what kind of personal issues is she going through? That would be separate from this.
I guess, the only ones I remember was some issues with her family or illness with her brother.
Okay.
They didn't feel like issues.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to. How about for
Well,
those of you?
Sister James was also going through the issue of making her own determinations between Sister Aloysius and Father Flynn. And she was also deciding that in the pursuit of wrongdoing, it's not okay to go away from the Lord.
Okay, but how is that
That's
different from
that's
this?
part of the other. I mean, what she is struggling with, she's not sleeping.
Well, that was because of this though too.
Okay.
I mean, if you're gonna make an argument for the main character, that's about it.
Okay. So she's having trouble sleeping.
I think it's them.
Well, she's.
But it's a crisis of, she's having a crisis of faith a bit, and so.
So then, would this be better described as crisis of faith? Because isn't everybody having
Yeah.
a crisis of faith?
Philip Seymour Hoffman is not.
Well,
Yeah,
but
He's having a crisis.
he's on the other side of the crisis of faith. But isn't that what?
I don't think that Sister Aloysius is having a crisis of faith in the sense that crisis of faith is usually used. I don't think that the parishioners are having a crisis of faith. The altar boys aren't.
Did you watch the end of the movie?
Yeah,
Well, she has a crisis of faith at the very, very
at
end.
the very,
Yes.
very end, but
Very, very
all the way
No,
through.
she's been grabbing her
cross the
her
whole
rosary
time.
beads and across the entire film.
This is
And
a
that's-
suggestion, just a suggestion, Brandon. Okay, so for those of you who like Sister Aloysius, or think her the main character, What would be your argument for that?
She has an insight on everything.
What would you say?
Insight on everything. Her eyes are always on everything. She knows. She even asks, Sister James, let me know what's going on. Like,
Insight on everything. And why is that a problem for her?
I hate when you do that. Is it a problem?
Uh-huh.
Gossip. It's gossip.
Well, it's also her.
Her certainties, her.
Well, her part of it is just, she comes from a very old, from the old school, and and so, she has problems with some of the newfangled things going on, like ballpoint pens, and humane treatment of students, things like that are like radically progressive at the time. And so she's really aggravated by that, but we also learn about a backstory where, right? We learn about a backstory where there's, she was married to someone who died, to a soldier who died in Italy during World War II.
So there might be a reason why she's acting the way she is.
Maybe.
Okay.
I have doubts, but
Well,
no, but she is that old school nun. But she wasn't always a celibate nun. And we know, and there were hints that yes, she has some skeletons in her closet. We don't know specifically what they are, but it's hinted that she has skeletons in her closet. That there's that finger of guilt is pointing to her as well. Just like
She's in two worlds, basically, where nobody else is. She's on the secular world who's moved into.
There you go. Yes, look at that.
Who's moved into
versus
Into a religious
the
world.
religious world.
So,
right, she has a real problem with secular songs being played at the.
yes, because Frosty the Snowman is evil.
Yeah.
Frosty is just not the name of a song.
It promotes magic.
It's the devil's movie.
Mhm.
So you can see here, Meryl Streep is very weighty,
She's caught between two
right?
worlds. Yeah.
There's a lot of backstory.
And I want to address.
Amy
not a
Adams
lot there.
is, God, I can't sleep.
all right, but let's talk about the different impact characters.
Okay,
Um,
so would everybody probably go with?
That looks
Well,
clear.
no,
Sure.
let's talk about who the choice would be under
I'm in
each.
charge here.
I know.
What's
I
in the
knew Chris
story?
would do that.
What's in the story?
That's
This is
right.
my classroom, boy.
That's right. Classroom.
Whack me with a ruler. Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh, it sounds
But
like you like that.
Nobody suggested Flint for.
He's old school.
Nobody suggested Flint for main character, right?
No.
Right.
Okay, so we like Sister Aloysius for the main character. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, Sandy. I want to hear a yes. I want to hear an amen.
Well, no,
Can't get a high.
let me just give you. I'll just give you my point of view on this. I suggested this movie.
Wait, can you wait? Because you'll probably destroy everything. So can you wait till everybody else has a chance?
Yes.
Okay. I'll let you do it for sure. Just because you've been around a lot longer. So
I saw this movie when it first came out, and it's like,
you know what's funny is I saw it too, and you can see it on my site until I change it tomorrow. I didn't think it was a story form, but after last night I have my doubts.
I'm sorry. You said
I
that it
didn't think
was.
when I first saw it, I didn't think it had a story form, and I complained about it. But last night I was like, oh, this is the most obvious story form ever.
I kind of concur, but I'll get to
Did
that.
you think the main character was Sister James when you first saw it? Is that
I think
why?
I did.
That's why, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it. But I'm gonna fix it all and make it all better. So influence character, who has the greatest impact, influence with a different point of view than Sister Aloysius,
The priest.
and
Flynn.
why? The priest being Father Flynn.
Flynn.
Okay. And why?
He wants to make the church more modern.
Oh,
I'm sorry. Which is
Compassionate.
More modern.
more modern.
Yeah,
and
but I would
compassionate.
put that point of view. I would put in the overall story. That's
Well-
more of an OS
No,
argument.
because the OS argument is about abusing altar boys.
Well, that's the plot. That's the concern. But
That's the overall story. That's plot.
But yeah, I mean, they're definitely opposing in that because she's really strict. She's into discipline. She's
Oh,
like smacking them
completely.
around,
Yes.
and he wants to hug them. And
He has his
make
own
them
way of
feel.
smacking them up.
Feel nice.
Can we also add,
He beats the bishop.
Father
That's right.
Flynn wants to be one of the people.
Oh, nice. I like that.
And Sister Aloysius says, no, we are different from
Oh.
the common class,
I love
the
that.
workers.
and doesn't Sister James at times align herself with that point of view too.
Yes.
She seems to.
Completely.
So can we move her down?
Move her down where? Where would you like to put her?
Sub IC.
Sub IC.
IC assist.
Oh.
As a second choice for the IC, yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, let me do.
Because she likes
this.
snowmen.
But she just.
She wants to be jolly too.
Mhm.
Right? She thinks
Well,
that's a good idea.
But think about it this way also. She has a very clear arc in the emotional through line. When you see her, you know, here's the thing. Any steadfast character, and I'm trying not to jump the gun here, but you know,
You are.
any steadfast character flirts with the change argument during the course of the story. And you see her doing that in the middle when we see a scene there in the classroom where she's becoming Sister Aloysius. And so I think so yes, I believe she's part of the emotional through line. Okay?
Okay, but
Whatever
we
that
haven't-
means.
But you have no. I mean,
In other words,
you have
she
all
could
this.
be, but as the impact character,
you're saying.
she could be the impact character to Sister Aloysius. I think that's an option.
Oh, I think that's what everybody's agreeing with. Like, she kind of fills in for Flynn occasionally.
I think he was just making an argument.
Or Flynn fills in for her. I think it. Well, I'll get there in a second.
Okay. But I
But
think
there's a
everybody's
threesome.
saying,
There's obviously three principal characters.
sure,
And-
but you have to understand that they treat it like everybody should know what goes on in a school like this, and so it was really important to have a character who was like our eyes into it, not necessarily maybe a part of the actual story form, but a storytelling device to be like, oh, is this what goes on? And that, because you have two people who are very strongly aligned with their points of view and know exactly everything that's going on.
That's actually exactly what I want to
And
say.
You have
And
somebody
that's why
else
she
coming
feels
in.
like a main character.
I think
in
Yes.
the
sometimes she feels that way. Also, remember this was a play, so plays aren't really big on main character, influence character. They're very big on the overall story and the relationship between them. There's not usually. Sometimes these are so closely aligned that it's hard to differentiate between the two, as opposed to a movie where it's like super clear. You know, these are more. I should say these are more evenly weighted in the story, as opposed to like Wonder Woman, which is like overall story takes center stage and main character. So, in regards to Father Flynn and possibly a sub IC with James filling in for him occasionally, how does everybody feel about that? Yes?
Well, I kind of feel like it's the other way around, that, you know, she's impact character A and he's impact character B. But,
What does that mean?
well, in other words, here, okay. When I first saw this, you know, in 2008, you know, I wanted to suggest it for the users group because it was just dripping with Dramatica. I mean, it's just like all over the chart. It's just like, you know, certainty and doubt and acceptance and non-acceptance. You know, it's just, but I couldn't line out the story for him because I didn't know where to put the characters. All right, because it does feel like Sister James is the audience point of view character. I mean, that seems to be clear in the beginning, and yet she is like completely absent from the final act of the film. Okay. And what further confused things was then, you know, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Meryl Streep had that "you and I are just alike," you know, dialogue, which I did not consider the priest to be the. I knew he was the antagonist, and so that's one of the reasons I wanted to come, because I wanted to hear, you know, well, I wanted to hear Chris, but talk about, you know, just because somebody has that "you and I are just alike" dialogue, does that necessarily make them the main and impact, or could that be a protagonist-antagonist conversation? Because I have my doubts that just because they said those words doesn't necessarily make them main and impact. But, all right, but seeing it again, all right, I do have a theory about what the writer's intent was. And I believe that the author's intent is that he wants to put us inside the head of someone like Sister Aloysius, someone who is like, you know, old school and traditional and certain, and then get to that moment and go, oh shit, maybe I was wrong. I think he wants to put us in the shoes of that person, in that headspace. But that kind of character is so off-putting to modern audiences. Okay, that modern viewers would not, just immediately take to Sister Aloysius as the character they empathize with. I don't think we want to empathize with. We're just like, no. We want to keep her at a distance, and I think he knows that. And so I think the Amy Adams character there is to bridge the gap for modern viewers. Keep in mind, in 1964, the prevailing, worldview or mindset was the Sister Aloysius, especially inside a Catholic school. This progressive, approach to teaching and dealing with kids was pretty radical at the time, and so I think, he gave us the Sister James character in order to bring us to bring us modern viewers into that world and into that time, okay? To get us in there so that we're sort of looking at this, world through her eyes as being someone relatively new to it, okay? So we're sharing that point of view, but I believe it's almost a propagandistic, technique to get us in there so that he can shift the point of view over to Sister Aloysius. So that we can
no
be
issues with the whatsoever. That's like
Yeah.
exactly what he's
and so on top of that, to end up at the story form that I want it to be, it has to be Sister Aloysius the main character. Anyway, but
Good night, everybody.
yeah, exactly. But so that's why it might kind of hand off, but I really think it's kind of a red herring. I think Amy Adams is a red herring main character. She's not the real main character. She's just the bridge for us to get into this world, so that he can slowly shift us into that other,
no issue with that.
the Meryl Streep point of view. In terms of the impact character, I felt that I felt that those two, that Sister Aloysius and Sister James, is the emotional through line. And Father Flynn is over here.
All right. With that in mind, what's the relationship between Father Flynn and Sister Aloysius? Anybody?
Divided, I don't know.
Accused
I
or
couldn't figure
accused?
this out.
That's up here.
Okay.
Oh, they're colleagues.
Well, principal
Oh, yeah.
and
They're superior.
Colleagues.
working together.
More, we like colleagues. All right.
Well, contentious colleagues.
Yeah.
I mean,
Why are they contentious colleagues?
Well, but they're both very strong authority figures in this world.
So they're in competing orders, right?
What's that?
They're in competing orders, right?
No.
No.
Not
He is
Well,
a priest,
Yeah.
and she is the principal of the school. He teaches
More
under her
specifically.
authority as principal, but he's in charge over, he stands above any of the nuns as far as authority in the parish. He sits underneath the Monsignor, because there's a Monsignor in this particular parish,
Yeah.
but he is above the
How many
nuns.
Catholics are in this
Well,
Your
room?
father's sister?
Yeah, I mean,
What is it?
it's a sister, right? And she's
Yeah.
with the Sisters of Charity or whatever.
Sisters of Charity.
She's a nun.
She's a
Yeah.
nun.
He's
but-
Dogmatically, he
In a very paternalistic world.
Well, no, I'm just, but
Okay,
the
and what's
priests
another way
but
of
the priests
defining
are
that
Jesuits
relationship?
or whatever, right?
What's that?
Aren't the priests Jesuits or?
No, they're not identified as one
But it's really
order or
simple.
another.
Their
You
mother,
don't need to
father.
know the whole genealogy of everything. What's their relationship?
Yeah,
he's
priest
your,
and
he's
nun.
your superior.
Right. Or I'm the man and you're the woman.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Sister Aloysius is
There's
very
so
much.
there's so much in there about he's the dog,
Just like
she's the
the-
cat. I mean,
The
it's like,
dinners,
Right.
the dinner,
Oh.
the differences between the
And
dinners.
Aloysius
Two
says you
dinners.
can't trust the men.
And that's the
to-
relationship?
They'll
oh
take
yeah,
care of each
Relationship.
other.
sure. The heart of it is like that balance of power between man and woman, which is seen through a priest and a nun in the 1960s. I mean, that to me was super like. I don't know how I missed that in 2010 when I first saw it, or 2009, but now it's like, oh, that's so completely obvious. And the great part about that is that's separate from this. What's the relationship between Sister James and Sister Aloysius that comes anywhere near this at all?
Well, no, they have different. you know, have different viewpoints on just how to, you know,
There's a
be
bit
in
of
the
mentoring.
world. I mean, you know,
But-
she
Specifically.
well,
A bit of
you know,
mentoring
she-
going on in their teaching.
you know, the way they conduct, they treat the children. It's like, oh, you didn't bring your book, all right, well, you share with him, and, you know, you move your desk over
And
there.
Amy Adams has a
and
completely
It's
different
like a
viewpoint to that.
sidekick and
No, that's Amy Adams' position is what he's saying, as compared to Sister Aloysius, who might have taken it.
Well, I'm saying they don't have that competing.
no, it's,
There's not anywhere near the same sort of
No.
argument here that's between the two of them.
yeah.
right.
Well,
There's no real
again,
argument.
There's
how-
no,
but
there's no
that's just not-
relationship between them that sits outside of this.
Mm.
The crisis of faith and is the priest abusing.
In the
The
school.
whole thing about whether or not there's doubt in the school,
Well, there's a bit of like how to teach the kids, but that was
That's
all.
part of the school.
yeah, but that's whose issue is teaching the kids? Who's really having that issue?
But there's all these discussions about, you know, how, you know, how do we approach this, you know, situation that we suspect is going on, and, you know, and they have,
That's overall story.
well, I think a lot of the issues between the priest and the nun are overall story, but.
Not at all. This is a completely different, this is a total power struggle between man and woman. 100%. This is whether or not you can cast doubt on people's, go that way. Whether you cast doubt on people's faith. This is the doubt part, is the overall story. This isn't about doubt. This is who's the boss.
Mm.
I agree.
I don't think it would sit alone on man and woman, like without their roles.
They're in their roles because they're men and man.
I think it's important. I know, like,
The roles, yeah, but
it's both. It's like
It's
male
both.
priest and female.
well, that's why I
nun.
put this
'Cause,
on
I mean,
top.
Right.
Okay.
If I had to say one thing, I would say it's the relationship between priest and nun.
You
In the
can't
1960s.
extrapolate male female from priest to nun.
But I mean, I
You
think
can.
it was
I mean,
really like,
I think
I think that's part of
you
it.
can't in that time period, right?
Yeah.
You can't now.
Wait, what?
You
There
can't
were
now.
female. There were female
In the
priests.
Catholic Church?
Yeah, in early Christianity.
On early
Yeah,
Christianity,
yeah,
not
yeah,
over
yeah.
60s.
That's what I said. Time period, right?
Yeah. Well, we're talking this story, so this
Well, I was
is
just
the
answering the time period
story.
question.
But this story is this time period. This is not
Yeah.
the history of Christianity, which I know you know a lot about.
Well, that's not the point. It's just the role that's causing it. It's not actually it's not, if they were just men and women, we wouldn't have all that stuff going on there. If it was just a man and a woman in,
True.
in the
But
church. you wouldn't have that.
there's that
I
the
just-
pecking order that there is that
There's
power
no order
structure that.
matters.
I mean, yeah.
I'm totally agreeing with you on that. I just feel the author's intent was to at least make some kind of comment about that. But yes, obviously this is the more important part. Totally agree with you on that. So how's everybody feel about through lines?
All right, if we can agree that Father Flynn and Sister James kind of share the
This is
impact
why Chris
characters,
is like, can you take over for me?
and
Yeah, he's
well,
still gonna
if we can agree on that
It's a
they
rival
share,
too.
that they kind of share the impact character through line, but to which degree we may disagree on, but they are both, you know, obviously, again, since Sister James is absent from the final act of the film,
Yeah.
you know,
And that you and I-
but she is.
That
but-
you and I argument is absolutely their relationship. He's saying you and I are both the same. We're both
Yeah,
people of
and
faith.
again, that's where I want to have the conversation.
It has-
Is
but
that
that's-
does that necessarily make
No.
those mean an impact
No.
character?
No, because
No.
like film like How to Train Your Dragon, it's between the wrong people. It
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily make
Yeah.
it the right. But in
Yeah, and
this,
in the Line of Fire, same thing.
yeah, but in this, it definitely
Okay,
is.
all right.
When she-
Well, okay.
I mean, I wasn't thinking James, but I guess she does occasionally fill in for him, especially that she's into the modern.
Again,
thing.
I
But you
thought-
notice,
again,
wait, I'll just finish 1 second.
Yeah.
She noticed she does that stuff with him around. It's not like she's there. She's not a significant part of that emotional argument outside of it
no,
in a way that's separate from this.
she makes her whole Frosty the Snowman speech when he's not there.
Okay.
I like Frosty the Snowman. I mean,
Sure. Okay, that's one scene.
Well, she is expressing that point of view in that particular scene.
I'm just,
Sure.
if you keep it just about the fact that it's their hierarchy, then you're good, right?
Yeah.
That's why
I see
I
what
keep
you
making the argument. It's
I
about their
see
orders.
what you're getting at. Yes, yes.
It's
Because you're saying this, then that gets rid of the hierarchy stuff.
Yeah. And then she can be the influence. Did I actually win an argument?
Well, only because you said hierarchy. I love that.
Okay, cool.
All right. So we like Father Flynn, and then yes, Sister James comes in and says something about Frosty the Snowman. Okay.
Well,
And
I
compassion.
do think she's going to say something about compassion.
she's in the lesson.
Yeah, but why is she there?
To make sure we know she changed.
To do this, and then to serve another function. Okay. Whew. I hate Chris right now. No,
That's why I want to have a
it's
discussion, to try to sort all that out, because I did come in with more questions than answers.
fine. You can ask more questions.
Well,
I may or may have not already gone over all this with Chris. So if you have a question, feel free to ask.
well, that's the question about where the line of the characters, because again, I see evidence for this, and I see evidence for
But you
that.
haven't given any evidence for James as being a significant influence character.
Well, yeah. Again, that scene where she is becoming Sister Aloysius, and she,
How does that influence and impact Sister Aloysius in any way?
Well, they impact each other, but
no,
she's,
that, you can't just
well,
throw that out.
she-
There has to be a certain
Which
specific
is-
approach that's actually impacting and challenging Sister Aloysius to change her point of view. How is Amy Adams' Sister James' character ever doing that except for the Frosty the Snowman?
she takes a lighter approach to the students. She's not such a disciplinarian. She's
Just can't eat her desk. That's
yeah.
Okay.
But
You know,
that wasn't really a challenge.
and
Yeah.
And then
Sister
to be
Aloysius.
the actual influence character, the significant influence character, there should be some relationship. There is no relationship between James and Aloysius.
Sure there are.
You haven't given any example of it.
what do you mean?
okay,
They're constantly talking. They're
Constantly
meeting, they're-
talking is in a relationship. What is
If-
their
If you
relationship?
wanted a relationship between Sister James and Sister Aloysius, there's a hierarchy there too.
Yeah.
Sister Aloysius is in charge of the convent. She's the mother of that convent, and
Okay.
she runs it.
Okay.
And that means that she's in charge of Sister James. If you want to have a relationship, then she is the boss.
Okay, and that's a significant part of the
I'm
And-
film.
and
saying
she-
if
and
you want
she-
a relationship, it's there.
And she questions Sister Aloysius's conviction about her certainty that Father Flynn is guilty. She questions it.
That's
She
that's
gets
the
she gets
overall
a,
story. You're not giving me anything that's out of overall story. I'm sorry that it's not lining up, but you haven't given.
Father Flynn is the antagonist and Sister Aloysius is the protagonist. So how do we separate? How do we,
Old school versus new world order is the
Yeah.
argument.
Yeah.
Not
So I'm
that I-
totally
not that
fine
I
with James
use-
filling in the new world order, the modern approach. Totally in for that. And yes, there might be little elements of hierarchy in there, but I think the real power play that's going on is between the priests and the nuns,
Yeah.
and who's actually in charge of the school.
Mhm.
It's really
Yeah,
clear.
that's really good.
Yeah, but what you just said sounds very OS to me, and not relationship.
No, this has not anything to do with this.
Okay, good
This
stuff.
power struggle exists
What?
even if they aren't touching the boys. That's it. It's a completely different through line. It's a different
In a
perspective.
way, the OS is a detective story, isn't it? It's not about the fact that they're priests and nuns. It's just about whether or not somebody did something.
See, the thing with
Well-
Dramatica is you really, really have to describe it. You can't just say, oh, they talk together. Oh, they're hanging out together. They're friends. Like, no, you have to actually define like what the actual relationship is and where that inequity is, like where the conflict is. Otherwise, it's just like, well, I just see it differently than you do. It's like, well, but you haven't actually proven that there is an actual relationship there that would warrant them being part of the relationship through the line, story through line. Okay.
I would just add that as far as the relationship through line, it seems like there's a lot more emotion generated from the relationship with the priest and the nun
Yeah.
than between the two nuns.
True. And again, I say it's, because Sister James drops out of the final act of the film, and so whatever energy she had as an impact character all went onto him, all right? And that's where you really see the emotion blow through, all we're arguing about right now is who's you know, impact character A and who's impact character B, you know. So,
Well, are we?
I don't think we
I don't
are.
think, because the father is definitely the bigger impact character.
Yeah, and in terms of
Anyway.
degrees, I mean, she has a much lesser degree of intensity about her point of view of how to treat the students and be compassionate towards them. I mean, his is a much more extreme version of that. She
Right.
just
Are you,
picks it up at times.
because are you just saying the difference between a handoff and a sub? I see, is that what you're trying to say? Like,
well, that's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if we're looking at a handoff or just a dual function. I'm not sure. So,
it feels
But
like-
the majority consensus is that Father Flynn has the more
Yes.
significant. Okay, so with that in mind, main character resolve. Does anybody have an idea? Change or steadfast, and why? For Sister Aloysius.
changed in the very last scene. She starts having doubts.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Having doubts is almost.
I think she's steadfast.
She's steadfast.
Yes, in the way that she approaches her problems, she doesn't change at all. I mean, she may have doubts. She actually had doubts whether or not he was a good priest at the very beginning. So to say that she has doubt as an indication of change is not true. When she was watching from her window with Landon down at the bottom, when he grabbed her, when he grabbed Landon's hands, and then later on she says, "That's the first time, but I was looking." She says, "I was hoping that it wouldn't come to this, where I have to outfox the priest."
Okay.
I think the change is in the last scene, but I think it has to do with going to the family and kind of. I don't think somebody that rigid would have given another time off to go with her family originally.
Oh wow, that's a really good point.
And now she's like, "I'm glad you went. I'm
Okay.
glad you took that time."
Wasn't that the
actually
priest's?
is something else.
Wasn't that the priest's
That's a really
idea
good
anyways, though?
What's that?
That was the priest's idea. That was.
Was
It was,
or
yeah,
it
because when
her-
they sat down together
She just
on the
disappeared,
park
and then she
bench.
came back.
Disappeared.
She just
But the
disappeared
fact
and
that
came
she's loosening up
I
about
think
it,
she's softened.
that's a good point.
I don't see that. The priest is the one that told her, "Hey, you can go and see your family." She's like, "No, no, no."
Oh, I know, but they're saying when she comes back, instead of her being a
Oh,
repeat
I
yes,
see.
she's
What
like,
well,
oh, I'm
I
glad you
think
did
the
that.
end is the whole change. Even the doubt. It's the doubt of her faith. That's what that's why she started crying. It's
I
not
felt like she was
necessarily-
glad that
Right.
she went away because she could just deal with the problem herself.
Yeah.
I feel like she was personally happy.
At the end, when she's talking about, I have my doubts, what is she talking about?
Her faith, right?
No,
Yeah.
about whether or not she was wrong.
No.
No,
No way.
Wait, where are we talking? Are we talking the very,
The very
The very
last-
last
very
part,
last,
it was, the doubt of faith. That's
She's,
what
She's
she's completely certain about her
This is-
worldviews.
I think,
No,
I think her
Totally
doubt,
certain.
I think her doubt was whether or not she made the right move in light of
No.
what
Oh
my
Donald's
God.
mother
No.
said.
No, she's
She
like,
knew.
she's like,
No, the
doubts
clutching
were-
of the crucifix and the I have my doubts is all about her doubting
the
her
figure
faith.
Yeah.
hierarchy, basically.
And even her
It's
lying too, I mean, that was doubting the faith too. That's why she ended up having to
She's
lie
doubting
about.
the church as well.
Yeah.
So yes, completely.
Yeah.
Because why?
Because
Because
he gets rewarded.
he just
for
gets
it.
Exactly.
rewarded. He gets sent away, and it's like holy
Right,
shit.
you got a promotion.
Well, I think it's all of that. I think
I
that
don't
her
think she
doubts.
didn't feel like
I
it had
think
anything to do
she
with
doubts
what
whether or
she
not
had done.
she was right about Father Flynn. I think
I
she
don't
was.
think so.
She had doubts about. I think it was just.
I think she's like I took his resignation as his confession. Like
Yeah, she seemed pretty
I
firm
know
on
for
that.
sure he did.
Yeah. She knew,
She knew,
with
yeah.
no
I
doubt
I think
at all.
she's not doubting that. She's doubting the bigger picture of.
Yeah.
So if she's
What's happening?
changed,
But she had those doubts about the bigger picture back at the start. When she says that when all the nuns are eating, they say, "We don't talk to the priests about those things. We don't
She
talk to
seemed
the
to have
priests
a
about
sense of,
things
like-
that happen inside
what
the
was her
convent."
whole
it's-
driving force throughout the entire narrative?
But the certainty of what's, you know,
She
of how
goes-
things are.
Right,
and how things
to
should
get
be.
rid of the priest. That was
So
her driving
now,
force.
so if you had a story, right?
That's
You
her.
have Aloysius here and Father Flynn here. At the end of the story, is Father Flynn still going to do things the way he always has?
Yes.
Yes.
100%. He's doing
Right.
the same thing. He's already proven it. He did it before. What about Aloysius? Is she going to do things differently?
Yes.
No.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely,
No,
yes.
if there's a new Father Flynn who comes in, she's gonna do the exact same thing to that Father
Oh,
Flynn.
I don't know.
I think she-
No, I think the whole point is
What-
now she has doubts whether or not
It's worth
she's,
it.
it's even worth it. What's
She's-
the point?
Not whether she'll be right, but whether it's
She has-
worthwhile.
She has doubts
Okay.
about salvation in that world.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
I
completely.
mean,
Yeah.
that's
I mean,
what
think
the
about
doubts
what she lost her husband, she goes into the, she goes in the counter company, not. Like, she's looking for something there.
That's why this backstory is so important. It's like,
Well, that's the thing. When I was watching it, my wife and I were kind of talking about like how do people get into this life? Like they
Mhm.
want order and they want things to make sense.
Right.
yeah, he gets
And
killed
now
in
there's no
innocence,
sense.
right?
There's
And
no
then, so
sense
it's
in
like,
it.
oh, this is where I'm going to put everything behind this.
Here, right.
And if I'm a good nun, I'm going to end up, I get to see my husband again.
And then she
It's
comes
like
to
really,
realize
and
that
now it's like
the
I have
world
my
is just
doubts
as
If I'll ever see him
as-
again. Yeah.
if I'm ever going to see him again. That to me is like the heart of the whole story. It's like,
Right.
But here's what's interesting. Do you mind if we jump to outcome and judgment?
well, I was going to do judgment, but is everybody cool with change?
Yeah.
So yeah, we can jump to judgment. Is she in a better place,
No.
or is she in a worse place?
Worse.
Worse.
And why? Besides the magnificent acting.
Because the whole belief system is crashing down.
Totally. That belief system that supported her is now a huge weight. Belief system crushing down.
You could say that about any influence character and main character.
In what way?
Well, I mean, being a change character, the definition of a change character is they lose their beliefs, right?
And that's either a good thing or a bad
They
thing.
lose their justifications, right?
Well, they
No.
Not necessarily.
Well, it depends on the context of the story. It depends on the arc of the story.
resolve.
I think in this
Change
context,
battered down.
Things
Perspective,
will resolve
but this is a big hierarchical
there.
system of beliefs.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
you're talking about something else. This by belief system, I mean her faith
Oh,
in
it's kind of
Christianity.
belief
Yeah.
system
I
itself.
don't know if she's completely lost her faith in Christianity or if it's just her, salvation. Like her, whether or not she gets to see her husband or not.
Okay.
Well, whether or not she gets to see her husband in heaven, that was
Wait.
not really like discussed. I mean, it's.
yeah.
I think
Yeah,
it's
you
faith
can
all the way
glean that
around
from-
because even the part where she's talking to the student's mom and she's like, "What kind of mother are you?" Like that whole thing. She's like, "What's
Right.
going on with this world?" Like,
I would say another thing too about this film is it's really short, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and there probably could have been more developed, which probably would have made this a lot easier for me. So yes, I am interpreting the husband thing and like kind of extrapolating that that's where it's coming from. But either way, we all agree that bad is where she ends up, right?
Yeah,
Like
it
that's,
feels
that
bad.
was the intent, the author's
Well,
intent.
her personal issues aren't resolved, right? So
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
She still has angst.
So
Does it? Oh, go ahead.
aren't her personal issues that she's not with her husband, or is it around the order that she has to order?
We get to that when we get to all this.
It just seems like in the future we would see her having a really hard time knowing how to handle herself at the school.
Mhm.
Like, what do
Yeah.
I?
Mhm.
Oh,
Do
yeah,
I need to
all
do this
the-
anymore?
yeah.
Is there any value to me like
Right.
Ugh,
disciplining
yes.
these
Yeah,
kids?
exactly. Is there any more value to my disciplinarian ways and authoritarian ways? Because it's
That's
just,
great.
it seems pointless at the moment.
Right.
Any value to my disciplinary ways? Okay, that's great. Use that later. Okay.
What about outcome? Can we talk about outcome?
No.
Okay. Because.
No, I
think
said
there's-
no. Okay, so usually Chris skips this part, but I think it's really cool, at least a guess, for the main character growth. So we know she's a change character. Does she change by getting rid of something or by growing into something?
She gets rid of something.
If you were to guess, which one?
Her certainty. She gets rid of.
Or stop or start? Which one?
She stops being.
She gets.
Well, I guess she starts doubting things.
Okay, well, try not
I
to
would
use
go-
because
I would
that's kind of
go
like where
with-
she ends.
Yeah.
Is the
What's
down
the
part.
question
I would
again?
go with stop because
what
she,
was the question?
yeah, she stops having the chip on her shoulder.
And what was the chip on her shoulder?
The strong belief in her righteousness, really.
So you see her that her strong belief in her righteousness is causing her problems, and
Yes.
that's why she has to get rid of it.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, she opens up to another human being. It's like a pretty important thing at the end. I feel like that's the first time that she actually.
Okay, so was her problem that she was doing too much of something or not enough of something?
Oh, I think she's doing too much of something. I mean, it's, you know, at least from a modern audience point of view, she's definitely way too much
Disciplinary.
of a, yeah. I think that's the author's intent as well.
But it's not like what it's like her growth like over the course of the story. Is she slowly shedding something away, or is she slowly adding on to the way she does things? If you don't have anything, it's fine. That's fine.
Felt like a stop story to me.
Stop. Okay. Everybody likes stop.
Is it
You say start and why?
start? No, I don't know if that's strong enough.
Why would you just say it?
Mm-mm.
Just say it.
Explain it to me again. The start and stop.
Oh, stop and
Chip
start.
on the shoulder. And
So usually the way it is described is you know these top two at the top here, the resolve and the growth, are the character arc.
Yeah.
So the resolve is this part, how they are at the beginning and at the end. Is it changed or is it the same? And then the stop or start is how did they get to that point? How did they grow? Did they grow by
Oh, well, then it'd be
Stopping?
starting.
And why
Starting
is
something because that's when she figures out or she's trying. Yeah, she starts, or she's figuring out like what's going on with the priest and what he's up to.
that's
No.
more overall story, but
Oh,
like,
okay.
how about her personally?
Her personally,
Yeah.
I don't know why that's calling to me. It's hard. I don't know.
Does
I
she
don't
hold
have.
on to that old world views, or does she start to see there's cracks?
Well, 6 of one, half dozen of the other, but the.
It's usually why Chris skips it, but if
It felt like the focus of thematic exploration was on what she needs to stop, as more so than what she needs to start.
okay.
Yes, it's both present, but to me the thrust of the story, the thrust of her through line is what she needs.
Would
to
it be a start of like an awakening for her, like waking up to the lies
Specific,
in
'cause they're all very general.
in the lies in her faith, like or
Just a specific
Wow.
example.
specific example,
Mhm.
like in the actual movie.
Yeah. That's what we're doing.
Not what I think she might be thinking. I can't
Or
think
do
of
you
it
actually
right
do you
now.
actually see her stopping doing something, or do you actually see her starting to do stuff?
Starting to do stuff.
Like
She's investigating.
it's
No.
not part of the overall story.
Oh,
Her personally.
her personally.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I can't think of it right now.
I haven't really heard any arguments for both, but it seems like everybody likes stop.
Okay.
Except
alright.
you, for some reason, have
Oh, why?
a guess that it's into.
I don't know
Your
why.
intuition says start,
I don't
so
know
I'll
why
put
it's-
one dash. That's why Chris
Because I'm a
skips it.
woman. My intuition.
Because you're a female and you have intuition problems.
Oh, look at that.
It's like, oh, I think it's this, but I have no reason why. Oh, that doesn't really help.
Does
Okay.
he know he's being recorded?
What's that?
You gonna edit that part?
Yeah.
I actually know exactly what I'm doing. Okay, so
It says
the
every man.
Uh-huh.
I don't need to look at no map.
Is this a hierarchy in here?
I know.
right?
Well, if it is Summers at the top.
Mhm.
Okay, main character approach. So Sister Aloysius, in her personal line, is she more of a doer or more of a beer, and why?
Beer.
Beer. Okay, why?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, sorry. Doer. She does everything. Sorry.
What? Doer and why?
'Cause she does everything. I hate that.
Specific
No,
examples.
she smacks all the kids when they're, sleeping in the church.
Okay.
She, oh gosh, what else?
Smacks kids. What else?
Oh, she puts up the frame in the room to catch kids.
Great.
And, yeah.
Okay, what else?
Mhm.
Anything else?
Takes the radio, that newfangled.
Oh yeah,
Radio,
you take the
yeah,
radio.
Right.
There's that whole bit with the older nun too, and she's kind of making sure that everyone's taking care of the older
Yes.
nun,
Oh.
the
Yes,
environment,
that's
so they
great.
protect her from the
Oh,
men.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, everybody like doer?
I'll make a beer.
Oh, why did you do that?
I'll make the beer
Should've
argument
stayed
because
home.
yes, she does those things, but she more than anything else, and I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna fight it tooth and nail, but she infects the world by her presence, by her authority. you know, Amy Adams says, you know, everyone is uniformly afraid of you, and she says, well, that's, what did she say? Not,
That's the way,
that's the way it works. That's the
yeah.
way it works. And so, you know, so I'll make the argument that her place in the world is one of great authority and discipline, and it's at her presence. It's very, you know, it's a very strong.
She works to cultivate that
But that's like
persona.
her spirit of it. It's not
But does she walk into the
necessarily.
room and just stand there?
And she
and
just
well,
doesn't
she's
say
a-
anything or
Well,
doesn't
no,
do
she's a very
anything?
active if she is a beer, you know,
Yeah.
she is a very
How is she
active beer.
being?
Hmm?
How is she being active? How? Give specific examples of why she's an active beer.
She steps into the classroom and all the kids rise right away.
Yeah.
They all go
That's not-
silent.
So
They all go silent when she comes
So
in, but
she
not when
changes-
Amy's in there.
so she
Not when
changes
Sister
her
James is
environment.
in there.
Right.
But that's not being a beer.
How
That's
is
not.
she changing? Oh, you're saying
Just by
she's-
walking, like the
Just
first
by
thing when
being
she
present.
walks down through the aisles and the people
She doesn't change
are sitting
herself.
up as she.
But she does smack
what is
like
she
one out
doing?
of the
She's
three
smacking
kids that she
them.
walks
Yeah.
by. So the other ones know they're
They're
gonna get
conditioned to do that, but I mean, it's because she's gone around and smacked them and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
There are
It's because
Or a
she has a
perfect-
reputation.
Yeah, a
Which is
perfect
a beer.
example
There's
is.
no ballpoint pens
But she's not
allowed.
actually-
She only
Yeah.
has ballpoint pens.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I mean, the perfect example is when all the students are lining up, and one of the bully students, that one kid is talking to Amy.
The London kid.
Yeah, and he's like, all right, was it right? Yeah, it was one of the students was talking and like saying, arguing with her about homework or something, and then she sees what's going on. She doesn't just stand there and doesn't do anything and just watches. She actually says, "Hey, you come over here," and is actively, constantly,
It's not her personality.
actively,
It's like
yeah,
a physical. Get over here! I'm gonna beat the crap out of you.
yeah.
I
She's
think it's
very
one of the
much
strongest doers I've seen.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we like doer. Okay.
Keep circling.
Keep
It
what?
was really strong that time.
No, this was a square.
There's gonna be a
It's levels of
Slowly
certainty.
dying inside. Okay, main
This is the right
character.
movie for that.
Yes. Main character problem-solving style. Sister Aloysius, is she linear or holistic in the way that she goes about problem solving, and why? Linear and why?
I mean, the discipline again is a very linear thing. Like if somebody does something wrong, I'm gonna hit them in the head. That's
Right.
Or you need to fix this room, put this thing up, and you can solve this problem.
Okay.
I think that she's holistic and she's always playing relationships.
Hold on 1 second. Just I'll come back to you. So, any other linear?
I would say linear.
Okay, and why?
Because the whole investigation is just very linear.
I guess the holistic
except
thing
that
though.
she's-
The whole investigation is very, okay, I heard something, I'm gonna tell you now to look out, and now it's very structural.
Step by step.
Step by step.
Okay.
I'm gonna call the other nuns or the other priest, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
She
And
didn't
then
actually
it's like
do that.
Call it
very
belonging, yeah.
She
structured.
didn't do that?
She didn't actually call the other parent.
No.
She did
She
talk
did-
to.
she
She
did
said
not call the other
she
parents.
when she said she had talked to a nun, it was a lie.
Yeah. But
to,
it was
to get
still.
to change. I don't have an opinion
That
on
is-
this, by the way, but I didn't come
Didn't
in
she
with preconceived.
actually
But
talk to-
she
The other father or
But that was
No,
that
she
does look like.
didn't.
well,
base
she called the other
level.
parish to find out that
nope,
he
not that
had
part, a different part.
he's been in 3 parishes in 5 years or 5 parishes in 3 years, whatever it
When
was.
she baits him. with
And
the,
but she did bait him.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, by so she did create
But actually, what I was talking about isn't there? He says, "Well, you can talk to so and so,"
Yeah.
which I thought was either another
Oh,
father within the
when
parish.
she talked about the elder wine. was the kid
Yeah,
drinking
he
the
said
Mickey
somebody
juice.
else can.
no. But if you want to talk to the other parish, you need to talk to the
No,
pastor.
that's not what I'm talking about.
Or you need to talk to priest.
There's a specific person in that parish or in that.
Well, there's
school.
Mr. McGinn.
Mr. McGinn. That's the name
Yeah,
I'm talking
yeah.
about. Yeah, she
McGinn.
actually called him and talked to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
She did
Right,
talk to him.
that's a linear thing. So, any other linear?
I agree.
Is there any other example of cause and effect?
I mean, how would you classify the sort of tricking him into, with that other,
What's more
the nun and baiting him like that kind of way to?
Well, I would say that's more
That's
here.
more in there.
Actually, no. I got a great example for that reason for it. I'm just gonna write baiting down so you can remind me at the end.
What about the way she deals with the older nun as well, getting, people to protect her? That's,
Yeah, no, that's more
It's not
doer than linear.
yeah.
Is there any specific cause and effect? There's a really well, okay, wait, sorry. Who thinks it's holistic?
Minor voice over here.
Okay, what's your argument for holistic?
I think that she is always looking to the balances of relationships. So she looks to the balance of the relationship between priests and nuns. She looks to the balance of the relationship that she cannot count on the Monsignor to chastise Father Flynn, and she knew this.
So
she also did not. She also looked to the balance between priests and nuns in not calling the pastor at St. Boniface, which was the prior church.
okay,
Which is,
but looking towards the balance, but how is she actually shifting that balance? What is she actually doing holistically?
well, what she attempts to use the different balances. One, in the baiting. Two, because she specifically says, "I call the nun, not another male priest."
Okay, so that might be.
And then she also went for the relationship in going to
To me, that's very
boy's
clearly
mother.
cause. Wait 1 second. To me, that's very clearly cause and effect.
What about the
If
boy?
I
when
lie
he's
to you, you're going to tell me the truth. Like that's very clearly cause and effect.
No.
How is she actually?
What about the boy when the boy has
It's
a
a faulty
bloody?
cause and effect, if that's what you think.
No, but she's trying to, or she's trying to cause an effect. She's trying to get him to tell her the truth by giving him a lie. What is an actual holistic sort of? You can look at the balances. That's fine. That doesn't mean anything. You're actually shifting balances and actually working the relationship between things in order to solve the problem of the fact that she thinks he is.
So
touching
she was
boys.
trying to get the mother of Donald
Uh-huh.
to step into the situation to change the balance,
Which is what?
which
Yeah,
is
deserve.
holistic.
No, that's
Yeah.
cause and effect. If I
No.
bring in the mother
So what,
and I tell her exactly what's going to happen.
using the definition that you gave, when would anything holistic not be cause and effect?
Do you want to help me?
Summer, can you help?
Well,
I was trying to look for something.
What's the very
You
first
know what?
scene?
It's a-
What is the whole thing that starts this entire thing off?
Sermon,
The sermon. And what is the sermon all about?
doubt.
Okay, and what is her
Structure.
problem with his sermon?
What is what?
That he might have some doubts.
It's too progressive.
No.
That he may have done something.
And why? Or
Well,
that he may have done something, but how does she, when she hears the
Her
sermon?
problem is seeing the boy first, seeing the kid break away from his grasp.
Mm.
Are you trying to say
That's
Talk about
that's
the
actually
opening.
really
Talk about
good.
the opening sermon.
Yeah, the very opening sermon, which kicks everything
It
off.
was about sort of shared doubt, right? Like that's what he was talking about.
Yeah,
That's what
but
he
her
gets
whole
us.
thing to Sister James is like, why do you think he said that?
Yeah, that's a holistic thing, right?
That he
Or
doubts
that's
his
linear.
faith.
Because he's having doubts, she thinks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She thinks he's
She's
having
putting
doubts.
it together,
or
and she's
she
trying.
thinks he's going ahead of the game.
She's thinking
But she's-
it's a projection of what's happening with him.
But she's already seen.
So she's thinking of
Yeah,
the
right.
cause, like what is his reason for doing this? Like the whole thing's like, what do you think was behind all that? That's a very linear thing, looking for the reasons behind it.
And that's because she saw the kid pull away from
Yes, that's a great example.
I'll give you another. I'm falling on the side of linear.
Thank
You're not supposed to come in with a preconceived thing, but the
I don't.
incident.
I'm waiting for arguments against it.
The instance, well, with the instance with the mother, with the Viola Davis character, I think is an example of where she could have handled it a lot better if she was holistic, a holistic figure. I think the fact that she was approaching that conversation and that interaction in such a linear way
Go tell him.
made it kind of go bad. Because she was,
Sorry.
because the mother was saying, well, what do you want from me? And, and she wasn't considering, see, the mother character was saying, okay, I got this condition. He's got a father who beats him up. He's got, he couldn't make it in public school. She's looking at all the holistic conditions,
Oh, that's
the
great. Yes, that's a great
circumstances
example.
around this boy, but Sister Aloysius is focused on that one issue and seems to be incapable of considering, okay, well, this is a conditional kind of thing. There are other circumstances. There's a bigger picture here.
Viola Davis's, that whole scene, she's coming from a holistic point of view, which is
Totally.
great.
Yeah. Yes.
And so her linearity, Sister Aloysius, that linearity is a problem in that scene.
Yeah.
And it's a problem for the mother.
Yes.
And so is Flynn when he says, well, when he's trying to weasel out of it, he's like, I'm gonna have to get rid of the boy.
Oh, yeah.
Because if he drank the wine and you tell me that I have to say he drank wine to get rid of the boy out of the other, so he's really changing the balance and trying to work on their emotions.
That's a really, really great example. That's great.
I see linear because I think linear is a problem for her. I think her linear thinking is preventing her from being able to more adequately address the problem of the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
And as far as coming in with the preconceived notion of the story form, I'm super open to if there's arguments against it. Because when I taught at CalArts forever,
Mm-hmm.
it was like the third year, and I was doing Sixth Sense, which obviously we did like 10 or 15 years ago. And I had a preconceived notion for that, and they actually argued to have him be a beer instead of a doer, which actually turned the entire story form. Now the official one, he's a beer. So I'm totally open to it. If there's actually any kind of like convincing argument, totally open to it. I just want to make sure everybody knows.
Does that answer your question though?
No.
So,
None of those examples answered the question, but for the sake of moving on with the story, because that's a general question, which is, given your definition of holistic and linear, when would you ever have some holistic thing that's not linear? And the examples
that's not cause and effect. It's
Right,
not
so
right.
you sort of said it when you talked about shifting.
because in the examples that were
If you
given
have
from
an
the
answer,
story,
go for it.
there were no, with Viola Davis wasn't affecting any kind of change either.
Right,
And so
she
there was no
was-
problem
she
solving,
was
so that
holistic.
was not an example of an MC problem solving type
Well,
of thing.
well, she's trying.
No, she is.
No, she's trying to solve a problem of the boy. I mean, again, she has to consider an abusive father. She has to consider, the bullies at the public school. She has to consider. We just need to get through June.
Right, but those are all, that's exactly what I'm saying, is that she was thinking about these relationships. And you told me, just thinking about the relationships is not sufficient for a holistic change, a problem-solving approach.
But she's
But her solution was just let this go, until June. He just has to make it through June. Just let it go, considering all these circumstances. So that was her solution to this very big picture problem. So I mean that
Yeah, because if she
But
was,
that
if she was
towards
if the
the cause
mother.
of getting him graduated. So
So
again,
you can go to
linear
high
cause
school.
and effect.
So you go to
Linear
good high
cause
school,
and
right?
effect.
no,
Yes, that's exactly what she said. She said, you just need to get him
That's just a
through
goal. I
to
wouldn't say it's a cause and
graduate,
effect.
so
That's
that
just
way he can
it's
get
the
into
goal
a better
then.
high school.
But that's a goal. That's not. She's not trying to cause an actual effect. She's actually playing the balance between her husband and the school and the fact that her kid's getting touched. In order to get to, it's like I'm gonna juggle all these things in the
Right.
air
Yeah.
and make sure everybody's happy.
On balance, I can live with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In order to
cause
get
and effect
here.
person cannot live with it. That's
Well,
why.
there you go, in order to get here, cause and effect.
That's not cause and effect.
Both-
They're looking towards
Linear
the
has a goal and
I
holistic
mean,
has a goal.
everyone's
They're
trying to
solve a
everyone's
problem.
trying to get to effect.
They're trying to get to a
It's-
solution. So there has to be a solution. But they
The-
have
the-
to
the
try to
linear
achieve it
is-
either linearly or holistic.
I'm going to go from A to B to C to D. But the holistic is okay. I can't just go to B. I've got to go over. I've got to go over here to 1 to 2 and over here to east.
Yeah.
In order to get over here to D. We all want to get to D. But I can't just go from B to C to D. I have to go over here and consider all these other things in order to get to here. And so yes, there is an effect, the desirable effect, but it's how you get there that determines the difference
That
between
answer I
linear and
can
holistic.
accept.
Yes.
Oh, excellent. Okay, on to the plot dynamics. Story driver, decision or action What starts the story? What ends the story? What kind of moves the story in the middle?
Well, it seems like, well, it's not even.
I mean, I guess at first I thought it was action only because of the actions between the interaction between the priest and the boys,
Okay.
like seeing his touching or his calling the kid to his office. Those seem to be driving.
It
Actions.
seems like the inciting incident. Actually, the inciting incident is off screen, and I wonder if they filmed it and they just cut it out. But it seems like the inciting incident is the Donald, I believe, coming back to class with alcohol in his breath. Okay.
No,
To
I
me,
thought
the
that
inciting
actually-
incident
Sure.
was when she
Well,
rings the
and that's
bell and
another one,
says, "What did Father mean?" And I want you guys to keep your eyes open.
Yeah, sorry. That.
When Sister Aloysius rings the bell at the dinner time.
Start the investigation.
To
Well-
start to send her minions out and search
But
for
isn't
the
that a
evidence.
decision?
But wait,
That
that's
sounds like a
a
decision,
decision.
yeah.
But what forced that decision?
The
Oh,
sermon?
she sees
Sermon.
him.
Okay.
Yes.
No, it's not that. It's when he
dare
sees
you.
him break away.
Well, it's another action. I think
All right.
that may not be. That's.
Yeah.
I think they're all. I think you're right. They're all actions.
She says it.
No, you're right. You're right. Okay.
She says it at the end of the movie.
All right.
Oh, what?
Either way, it's action, right?
It's
What
action.
ends?
It
What
is
ends the
action.
story?
It's an action.
What ends the story?
Him
He
leaving.
leaves.
Him leaves. He leaves, right?
Action.
Action. And the shirt. The seeing him put away the shirt.
Yeah.
And what would the?
Oh, the
Second
when the kid goes to the office to meet him, is that action?
Mm,
There's just more
Wait.
evidence.
No. Or was it the Viola Davis part? I'm not sure. Okay, but we all.
Well, I mean,
we
he-
can take this as a gimme.
When he
Everybody's
walks,
good with it.
when he sees Viola Davis in the office, and then and then he comes back and confronts her about it, and that kind of sets off the climax. What was she doing in your office? So when if he hadn't seen that, if he hadn't accidentally seen that, it would not have led us into the third act.
Great. Okay, what was she doing? Great. Excellent. Okay. Now, the story limit. Does it come to an end? Is there a time lock or an option lock?
Well, I don't see it.
Option lock.
Okay, cool. So it's option lock. All right. Chris isn't here to make us figure it out.
Right.
Go ahead, say it. There are so many. That's usually how it goes.
Right.
Fill in the
Pieces of evidence to,
Be sure about.
okay, what did this mean? And what did this mean? And what did this mean? What did him putting the shirt in the locker mean? What did the kid coming back, with wine on his breath mean?
See, I don't think it's a question about what did those mean. I don't think those were the options. I think the options were, how do I get rid of the guy? And these
Yeah,
are the
there's
different
no
ways of
time
me
limit
trying
on
to get
it.
rid of
Yeah,
this
it's
guy.
not like by
She had
next
made up
week
her
I
mind
have
a long
to.
time
Yeah.
ago.
That makes
Okay.
sense to me.
That's good.
I'll go with
Yeah.
what he said.
Okay.
Like you said.
All right, story outcomes. Success or failure?
She gets rid of him.
She gets rid of him. Wait, hold on a second. Okay, so you're saying success, she gets rid of him.
Yeah, I mean, as her as the protagonist, it seems like her goal is to either out him or get rid of him.
Okay, and has he been outed?
Guess he's not outed. He's just removed.
Okay.
He's moved on, so he hasn't been exposed if that's the goal.
Well, he has been outed, but the outing has been refused. She went to talk to the Monsignor.
But she hasn't
she was
proven
trying
that
to take him down,
she hasn't proven that he's
Well,
molesting the kid and abusing the altar. She
She
hasn't really,
wants to get him out of school.
she's
Right.
confirmed that for herself, but she's removed him from the
Is
school.
that the goal?
Well,
Her whole thing the entire time is to get him out of the school?
I don't think that would rock her world, right? Just
Yeah,
getting him out
I
of
don't
school.
think that she's not.
No, she won't.
She wants to
not
get
that
to the bottom of
interested
it. She wants to.
I think her primary goal is to get him out of school.
Isn't her goal to like protect the kids?
Her kids.
Her kids.
But isn't it the whole kids in the whole church?
Yeah.
Which
So
is
she
not.
fails. So she fails to.
No, I think it's her kids first.
I think it's hers.
Oh, I don't know.
I think
I
She
think
may,
she's
she
so
may,
broad.
she
In
may
the
have
overall
played with
story,
the
She's the
idea.
response. She's the principal.
She does have a line at the end that the kids are safe, or that their kids are safe. She does say something about
She,
that.
in
does
the
she
overall
feel like
story
all
as the
kids are
protagonist,
safe?
No.
she's the principal of the school, and she's protecting her kids.
Okay.
She's not projecting the larger-
and from a logistical sense, I think you could say she wins.
Yes.
That the protagonist wins, but I think that
But
that's
the costs
shaded.
are-
But it's it is shaded by but yeah, except we win at one, but he got a promotion, and I now you know.
I think that's extraneous to the.
Right, to do that, the logistical outcome.
Right.
So when the antagonist goes down, that means a success.
Did he go down?
He didn't go
It
down.
doesn't go down.
Did Father Flynn lose or win?
He won.
You gotta
I
go
felt
down.
like the
Yeah.
intention is that he
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
He wanted to stay at that school. He
He
said,
doesn't
I
care where
do.
he goes.
No, you're reading.
does.
What he said on screen is, I want to stay here.
Well, yeah. So
Well,
he can
okay,
do what?
so he didn't get what he wanted. He lost.
And he looked very, very defeated.
But did
He may have won
at
a great prize in losing. But he
Yes.
lost.
Wait, hang on. I think we're
But
missing
he
something.
did not-
Who's the main focus of the overall story? The focus.
Who's the
character.
main focus?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what that means.
Is it about a bunch of kids or is it about one kid?
Or is it about any kids? What is it actually about?
The
It's about
abuse
Donald.
and
It's about doubt.
yeah.
Donald.
Oh,
The
Donald?
goal is protecting Donald.
Really?
That's the mission she's on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
that's
mean,
the
that's
mission.
the most singular.
No,
Into the
wait,
space.
wait a second.
That's the-
That's
If
the specific
protecting Donald
mission.
was the overall story, why was that not mentioned at all in the beginning? What was the actual overall story? Is the priest abusing altar boys? What is the movie actually about? Doubt.
She knows he's abusing an altar boy.
Okay.
Donald.
Well, she thinks she knows, right?
No, because she even mentions that she even says like, oh, well, who knows how, or who, if this is even the first. There's a scene
What
like
is the
that. I don't know
meaning
what
of
it is.
her changing and being in a really bad place? Why is she in such a bad place?
She finds out the truth.
Because her
It's
life's
not-
work
it's not
is
subjective,
meaningless,
it's-
right? Like she's not.
Objectively, she achieves the goal of getting him out.
And then she
That's
starts to
the-
question about whether or not that was the right thing to do.
I don't, because the way you're looking at it, I think, is a relationship thing. Is he still up there and I'm still not? You know, I don't necessarily.
She feels
think
in.
that's
She.
a-
To me, well, I'll do this. And that's what Chris does.
Because honestly, it felt like a personal tragedy. It didn't feel like a tragedy.
It does not feel like.
It does not feel like a tragedy. It feels like a
Well, there's
personal
a
tragedy.
systemic tragedy as well, though. I mean, her personal
Well,
tragedy
true,
is
and there
related
are
to the fact
costs,
that it
and
doesn't-
you know,
I think there's
he doesn't
much
leave
more
the
than
system.
costs. If you just simply ask, did he win or lose?
He won.
He won.
He won. He needs to keep doing what he's actually in a better place.
He's got a promotion.
He got a huge promotion.
He didn't win. He was fighting to stay there.
yeah.
He was
Well,
not.
He was
that's-
fighting
No,
to
he
stay
was-
threat.
he was-
Subjectively, it's really hard for
Her no,
he's
but
still-
her point was she wanted him to get fired altogether, not
No,
transfer or
what she
anything, but
said
just
was, I want you to resign and take an immediate
Yes.
leave of absence.
because that's the no.
That's
That's
not
so,
getting fired.
but that was the decision because she knew he couldn't get
Resign
fired.
means don't come back.
Yeah.
He's
From
in
the
a
school.
much
Right.
better place.
He
He
didn't
gives
come
her a
back.
letter of resignation from
Okay.
the school.
Okay. Well,
That's
I
what happens.
think it's failing.
I'll put it.
She
success.
takes his resignation
Well, I think it's from.
as his confession.
Okay. Well, maybe if we look at the through lines, we might see something different. But you don't know. It could be success. Yeah. Okay. Let's figure out the four through lines.
That's what I'm saying.
really
I knew it would be hard to line up,
If you really want to
even
be
though
honest.
there's all these dramatic terms all over the place. But where do they line up? And I know that was going to be hard.
But I have a feeling once we get all this in here, this will be super clear.
Right.
Okay. Okay. So, who wants to go first? What we usually do, usually it's a lot easier. Chris Huntley. You have overall story, main character, influence character, and relationship story through line. And everybody here obviously knows this, but for those of you watching online who haven't turned off by now, you take these four through lines, and each of these is a perspective on the central problem, and in the middle, different perspectives on the same problem, and you assign each of these through lines to a different domain, and they're each exploring problems from a different context, different point of view. And the only thing you have to make sure, or the way that it works, is that the overall story is always diagonally across from the relationship story, and the main character through line is always diagonally opposed to the influence character through line. So, does anybody have any kind of idea that they'd like to try out first?
Well, I mean, initially, partly just based on the title, but also what they're, talking about in the OS. It just seemed like the OS was manipulation. It's about,
Okay. And why?
Well, I mean, doubt, was a manner of thinking, and they were just whether this was like, it was these sort of conflicting attitudes about doubt and certainty and faith and all those.
Okay, so
And also about traditional.
She seemed like she was a pretty
traditional
clear
versus progressivism.
Sister Aloysius, pretty clear
No, I
attitude.
just wanted to
Yes,
point out you said conflicting attitudes, which is actually here.
That's true.
So
It is largely.
no, I
about-
wanted, it's very specific. He's talking about the conflict between conflicting attitudes. That's here.
That's true.
So I'm looking for actual evidence of everybody
trying to figure out how to think about this. I mean, it's
how to think about it.
well, there's what you think about. It's what you think and then how you think about it. And I mean, we even talk about the sermon, even talking with the mother.
Talking with the mother, yeah.
It's all very. How do we think about this? That's why I go with manipulation. Because
And even with Sister James, like, how do you separate your faith from, like, you're stepping away from your faith by doing this investigation, calling people out?
Okay, stepping away from your faith is this.
I
just want to make it super
so.
clear.
I think it's a process. I think that is an example of a process of thinking
How?
about a state of thinking.
How is that?
Because it's again it's they're not you're not questioning Christianity. You're questioning how again, how do we think about this idea of going after wrongdoing? Okay, you're going after wrongdoing. You have to step away from God, even if it's in for God's purpose. And to me, that's not a fixed attitude. That's a kind of a psychology of how to deal with wrongdoing. It's an example of how to think, not what to think.
Well, I would just say that the idea of wrongdoing is the fixed attitude, whether something is wrong or not.
And I would say the going after is activity.
And I guess Father Flynn had all of his conflicts coming from
One
his
second.
activity.
Okay, so you like overall story activity?
Yes, I do.
Great, so if the overall story is an activity, what's the activity that's causing a problem for everybody?
Well, everybody has activities in that they're gathering information on what the priest has been up to.
And how's that a problem?
Because what they suspect the priest was up to was what they suspect the priest was doing was wrong.
Okay, you just gave me an example of
Fixed
fixed
attitude.
attitude. So what are the actual activities that are causing problems? That people
What Father
stop-
Flynn does,
What is Father Flynn doing that's causing problems?
touching the boys.
Okay, and so if he stopped touching the boys, would there still be a problem?
Yes.
Okay, so then that can't be the
Well, for
overall
past touching of the boys, and
We're talking about
anticipated
this
further
story.
future touching. If he stops touching the boys and will never do it again.
Honestly,
story. Future touching sounds like an awesome sci-fi film. You might want to consider that. Future touching. Future touching. I can help you write that.
I like it a lot.
Aaron first has consulting services.
Oh my God.
Did you say if he wasn't touching the boys, would there still be a problem?
That's
Yes.
the question.
Yeah, that's my question.
Yeah, I think there would be.
Well, we don't even know if he is.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
never proved that he is touching the voice, so.
Well, there is still. I mean, in support.
If there wasn't
In
suspicion.
support of the conflict of attitudes is.
Suspicion is a huge thing, right? Can I just write suspicion?
Yeah.
I'll just put it here.
Well, I know we're finding.
It's like you're guiding us towards something.
No, I'm running out of room, so I'm just gonna write suspicion here. Also because suspicion is a fixed attitude.
Well, but there's also that broader issue of the traditionalism versus progressivism in the way you teach school. I mean,
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Traditionalism versus what?
Progressivism.
Progressivism.
I mean, they even use that word. He's advocating for a more progressive approach, and certainly, and again, that degree of progressive approach in a Catholic school actually was very radical in 1964.
Totally agree with you.
She, Sister Aloysius,
Sandy, you see what they have in common?
they are, yeah, and so they are,
They are isms,
They are isms.
which are what?
Schools.
Say it. He's telling you.
School of thought. Schools of thought.
Okay.
All right. I will confess. On my first viewing, I wanted to put the OS in fixed attitude.
Okay.
But on my second viewing, I wanted to put the OS in manipulation.
I'm just
and
curious
put her in
why
fixed
you would want to
attitude.
put the overall story in fixed attitude.
Why?
Somebody that's known Dramatica for
And originally,
20 years. What would be your first indication?
It was a play.
the word doubt, right there, down there, and evidence, suspicion. Yeah, on the thematic side.
It was a play.
Well, no,
I
no.
would
Play.
actually-
90% of the time, plays that are translated to movies are manipulation OS.
Oh, no, that's not true.
No, most plays are
No.
fixed
Most plays, the OS is in fixed attitude. Yes.
A lot
It's just people-
are.
it's just
More
people-
plays are in fixed attitude than movies.
My point
but-
of view, my point of view.
You a big fan of the theater?
But that's what you watch.
Okay,
That's
so
Avenue Q.
so is everybody like perhaps overall story fixed attitude?
Yes.
The interesting thing about that, as I was saying at the beginning, is that would put the relationship story in situation. Which is why I liked Brian's hierarchy word. Right? Doesn't that make sense?
Yep.
What is the coolest scene? The coolest scene, the relationship scene between the two of them that's so insanely awesome, and it has all to do with situation.
When he sits down in the.
He sits down in her chair and she's
Yeah.
like, whoa!
And then she sits in her chair.
Serves him
And then
tea.
she sits in
She
her
puts the light
chair.
on them.
It's very subtle. I'm going to shine the light on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
That's Roger Deakins. I'm very subtle.
He wrote that in his script.
Did you really?
Yeah,
Oh,
intentional.
Jesus. All right, well. All right,
That's all the pulling ranks.
Reminds me of student film stuff, but it's cool. It's all right. Like I said, Deakins made it look freaking awesome, but
As long as it kept subtle, yeah.
But yeah, it's the situation, priest and nun, who's in charge, the hierarchy between them, that feels really good, right? Like that's the actual conflict there. So then now activity and manipulation, main character, influence character. Without using the cheat, what would your guess be?
Priest is in the manipulation
Oh, why is that?
because he lies the entire time about.
Well, we don't know for sure that he's
What's
lying.
going
The
on? Well,
intention of the
even- well-
movie is we don't know at the end.
When he's sitting
He's guilty or
down.
not.
Well, that's the manipulation part. Like when
What does a
he's
priest
sitting
do?
down. Yeah, they're all some.
Every story, everything he tells is a lie.
What do priests do?
Just keep talking. Just keep talking.
Okay.
They sermonize?
Keep talking.
Oh, so no, when they're sitting down, the sitting benches area outside the park, whatever it is,
Mhm.
and he's talking to Amy, he's like, he wants her to feel like, oh, we are kind of alike and
Oh,
we want
totally.
the same thing, you know. It's all about compassion and just making us modern, and it's just like complete manipulation the entire
We think
time.
of kids the same way.
Yeah, we're
You
like, yeah,
kids.
you love kids, right?
I love kids.
Yeah, it's like that's
He manipulates
complete
all congregation.
manipulation. Yeah.
100%. So that would put
Lies.
Aloysius in activity,
She's a
which is nice because not so much the detective stuff, a little bit, because that could be here, but her whole thing is how she does her job, right?
Mhm.
That's the whole issue.
She
Now
needs to
I
start
wanted to
doubting.
say, what's that?
But
She needs to start doubting.
You should start what?
Yes.
her
Well,
job is
I'm
detective.
sorry, start what?
Oh, start doubting. I'm sorry.
the end when you're talking about her baiting, you know, when you have a change main character, theoretically they flip over to the influence character's point of view. So her baiting, that manipulation at the end, that's another indication of her moving into that domain. So that's a really cool.
Wait, how's she baiting? Sorry.
Oh.
She
Because she
tricks
didn't
tricks him
really,
into-
phone thing.
Oh,
she didn't really call.
Wow.
She was actually manipulating into it. So now I just want to talk about this.
Well, okay. I actually, no, I'll support the argument.
That was really
Just
strong.
be,
That
you know,
was really
well,
good.
this supports the argument of him being the impact character. Is he starts off the movie talking about doubt, and she ends the movie talking about doubt.
Oh!
Oh!
Wow.
she's here.
Because that's what happens, is the main character, whether they like it or not, if they change, they sort of adopt the position of the impact character,
Yeah.
even if that's not a good thing for them personally. You know?
Thank you. Thank you. Doubt. Okay.
You're an animator?
Shut up. I've been drawing like 3 years.
He uses computers, okay?
I haven't drawn
That's why it
since
looks so
like
3D.
2009, 2008.
Just
You know what?
Dang.
just let her
It's on video.
No, it's fine. It's
Put
fine.
a habit on it.
Yeah, there you go.
It's the priest here. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so I just wanted to point out this connection here now, which I know Sandy knows, but some people might not. When you have a vertical relationship between the overall story and the main character through line, that indicates a main character growth of start. If it's horizontal, if they were horizontally aligned, that would mean stop. So those of you who thought it was start but couldn't come up with any examples, do you have now, knowing that it is start, what would be some really prime examples? You already gave one.
Oh yeah, she was good with her visiting her family.
Right, visiting your family. What's another one?
Start doubting.
Wasn't
that what Brandon said?
No,
That's
because
kind of like a
she.
good one.
No,
Oh no.
don't use that because that's kind of like the end. Like, this is the growth part.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
what are indications of her growing? What is she starting to do?
She listens to the radio.
Yes, that's a really great one.
Oh yes. And
She's
then,
like, oh, I just
I
got
can't
this fancy
stop
thing. I
listening."
can't stop listening to it. I'm getting really hit.
can you consider the start lying? Because she.
Uh,
Because it's
yeah,
towards the end.
eventually towards the end. I just really
Yeah,
like
that's a good
the
one.
radio ones. It's
The
so
line's a
cool.
good one. The line's a good one.
She even agrees
Which
to
one, the line
The
one?
line, she starts lying.
Yeah.
She agrees to a secular song too.
Does she?
Does she?
Yeah.
Oh, she
No,
did.
no, she
Not
agrees.
Frosty.
She agrees.
It was
We
one
need
of
to
the
look
other
a lot
ones.
like
Yes.
Frosty.
Yeah. Agrees to that, but not Frosty.
Not Frosty. That's devil music.
So you can see she's becoming more modern. Like she's getting to the point where she can actually
Yeah.
lose faith in everything. Just so happy. Okay. So
So
do I want to talk about
so
this?
failure, huh?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So
If it's failure, then the dividends are really high. Because the kid, the blonde kid who he was probably abusing,
yes.
they very clearly, when he says I'm leaving you, they very clearly focus on him and he's
Yeah.
But the author's
That takes
intent
his
was for
weapon.
us to not come to a conclusion on whether or not the priest did it.
Yes. Totally.
Right?
So what'd you
I
say
think
about the
that's
blonde
what
doesn't-
kid? What'd you say about the blonde kid?
I mean,
he's
it's supposed to
thrilled
be
that the
pretty
guy's
close,
leaving
though.
the parish.
So him leaving the parish.
I don't know why that's in there unless he's making.
But they never caught that. Well, I feel like that's a really good point. The fact that the author never showed that like he abused all the other kids
Uh-huh.
is total failure. Like nobody did their job to figure that out earlier and get him in trouble or anything. Like nobody knew what was going on. It's complete failure.
Like what if? Well, oh shoot, that's right. I can't do this because I should hold off on this until we get the concerns, and then I think it'll make more sense. I was about to just do everything. Okay, so if you want to take a break, while I just set up the computer here real fast. Short little 5 minutes. Please don't go.
Goodbye.
I'll leave my card here. That's the consolation.
Nobody comes back.
I just talk to myself.
I feel like you need a hug.
No, that's all right.
All of a sudden he's getting better. All you have to do is
It's perfect music.
On hold music.
You guys ready? All right. So here we are back from the break, and we are going to do. We said she was changed, right? She's a doer, correct? She is linear, action, option lock. We'll leave the outcome just for now. Bad. And we know the overall story is in fixed attitude, which should get us everything else. You can see it's got the main character in activity and influence character in manipulation. And so now what we do is we go into the theme browser, come up to the top. Oh, thank you so much for starting the recording again. Okay, so once we get all the story form settings set to what we had before, which was change, start, doer, linear, action, option lock, or skipping success, and we're going to bad, and we have the overall story and fixed attitude, and the main character through line in activity. So now what we want to do is figure out the concerns, which, as everybody here knows, but other people might not know. Once you pick a concern in one location, you pick them in all the other locations. So if in the overall story, if it's all about memories, that would mean the main character would be an understanding, the influence character concern would be developing a plan, and the relationship story would be in the past, because they're all in the upper left. And that's to keep everything thematically consistent. If the overall story is about innermost desires, that means the main character domain would be, concern would be obtaining, the influence character concern would be changing one's nature, and the relationship story concern would be the future. So, does anybody have any arguments for anything? Does anything speak out to people? It seems like the concerns that they're going through.
Well, Father Flynn in the IC domain is playing a role.
Okay, and what's his role that he's playing?
He's playing a role, well, so that would be also being,
Okay,
okay, and so.
that's the old terminology for people who don't know.
Right,
Okay.
and being a priest on the up and up, would probably be playing a role.
Okay,
Or it's his concern that he wants to be seen as playing that role.
he wants to be seen as playing that role. So is that playing a role?
Well, I think that would be playing a role.
Okay,
Because it's not necessarily what his, it's not necessarily his utmost nature,
right.
but it's the role he wants to
Just to
have.
put across that he's a good guy.
Right.
And that challenges Aloysius, so that would mean her concern is, do you have arguments for the other concerns, or is that?
I haven't gone further.
Okay.
I took that doing and investigating and trying to find things. If you accept that she's a doer.
Well, I think we do.
It kind of leads itself to doing. I don't think that by process of elimination, as far as with her, I don't think that she's actually gathering information on him. She may send out some others to do it, but again, that's a doing thing. I don't think that she's really into obtaining, well, she might be trying to obtain a certain result. I don't think she's trying to understand the meaning of everything.
Just so everybody knows, she'll go through all four.
Yes.
For the people who don't know, obviously everybody's just super expert. She'll go through all four signposts throughout her through line, but one will stand out as like, this is a problem for her. This is actually really difficult for her, and it creates problems throughout the entire story. But she does. I mean, she does a lot of doing. She does a lot of gathering information.
Honestly,
She does a lot of
giving that.
and a lot of understanding.
I think it's gathering information.
Wait, let me.
Sorry.
Well, I was going to say gathering information because you want to talk about what's problematic.
Sorry.
Uh,
So he's been here for like
she-
20 years.
you know what?
This is my first time.
Men first.
she's
No
trying.
worries.
Actually, no worries.
No worries.
No, I defer to how this.
No, sure. Go ahead. We'll help you through. Go ahead.
Sure. I hate you.
No, you're right. I should let you go first. I actually thought you were going to argue his point. That's why.
No,
Wait,
we
wait,
obviously
wait,
have
wait,
the
Wait,
same-
be quiet because you ruin everything. But
Go ahead.
I think it's gathering information is the biggest
For her
concern.
personally, and what would that be? What's her greatest concern?
Her is gathering information, the facts of, that's why she's constantly, well, what did you see? And she's like, oh, so she she has all this information and she's getting it to the priest. Like, look, this is what I heard, this is what I found out, and it's like she's just constantly asking everybody like what or looking, whether it's looking out the window and watching the two priests, or how she reacts, during the sermon, or how he reacts during the sermon. It's just constant
Right, and
information.
she says during the dinner, what does she say? She says, be on the outlook, or be on the alert, or
That's what it's
something.
Okay.
But here's the test is, it has to be true throughout the whole movie. In other words, they can't, because you only look at one section, that could be just a signpost. But I think the gathering information is a problematic concern for her because she doesn't have all the information, and she even conjures up information in the debating.
This is all overall story.
Okay, that's where I was going to go.
Oh, what happened?
The information she's gathering is that the belief system is not what she thought it was, and that
so it's how it's for her
things
personally?
are progressing.
This is her personal.
Oh.
And that things are
okay.
progressing.
So there will be some crosstalk between through
Oh.
lines, so certainly some of that
Especially
stuff
in this
is in
one, there's
there.
only 3 characters.
But I think that works because, go ahead and put words in your mouth, but
You want me to just repeat what I said?
yeah, or add
So-
a little something.
So would it be? Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, no, she's finding out information that what she's put her faith in is the house of lies, basically. And she's also getting new information about the way things are
Oh, I
progressing.
figured.
The way Dramatica works too is it's not just like, okay, I have this goal, I'm going to gather information, and my concern is why aren't I learning all these things? The author's argument of the entire story is the concern for her from her main character perspective personally is this
She's
gathering,
learning it's not
this learning that she's
she
going
wants.
through, and she's actually learning like, holy shit, oops,
This isn't what I signed up for.
this isn't what I went through. Okay,
This
so
isn't what it was. I mean,
so if that was her concern, that would mean Father Flynn would be his greatest impact on people is conceiving an idea.
We need to be of the people.
we need to what?
To be of the people. That's his.
Well, yeah, part of, conceiving an idea can also sort of be wrapping your head around an idea. And I haven't formulated my argument yet. So,
Okay.
so someone else talk.
Okay. Does anybody have any arguments for the other concern?
Well, in the relationship, it does. I was thinking that the present does cause
Okay,
a lot
and
of
why is
conflict in the hierarchy, the way
Okay.
things are, and the
Mhm.
institutional nature of that relationship.
Okay.
Causes
I
a
agree
great
with
bit of
that.
conflict there.
Because past is addressed, but only
Yeah.
in a cursory way. In
And
the
it's
future,
not
really,
changing.
it's not the concern. And how things are changing would be more of a personal concern. I mean, I could see where how things are changing would be a personal concern for her.
The hierarchy isn't
Individually.
changing. I mean, that's
Hmm?
the issue. Is the hierarchy is not
Yeah.
changing. It's
But
staying the same.
if you look at the whole, it's
Yeah,
like
so-
their being in the same place there is problematic.
Yeah.
They're being under the same institution.
But as
Yeah.
far as a vector of direction goes on how things are changing, Sister Aloysius starts out by saying, if he has a problem, he goes to Monsignor, this is the chain of command. If I have a problem, then I go to the priest, and then and this is the chain of command. And she doesn't follow the chain of command. So that was that's a vector of how things are changing on a deteriorating relationship.
It might be a benchmark, and then that the fact that they're not changing is causing a problem, or the relative degree to which things are not changing fast enough could have an impact on it. But I don't know if the lack of progress, or for it to be a concern, it would be almost like the lack of progress between the two of them would be a problem.
I like the overall story and conflict.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
there's doubt.
Yeah.
Wait a second! Don't jump down! How dare you do that?
There's the word doubt.
So hold on, can I go back to
I think it might mean
Yeah, of
something.
course.
So the gathering information for main character.
For her, yeah.
For her personally, because her need to gather information is concerned with her. That's what we're trying to talk
Yeah,
about.
it's,
Okay,
it's
that's-
difficult for
So
her.
I was correct.
The more she learns about
Yeah, and then
how things are.
contemplation, the fixed attitudes.
Plus, also, what
just-
is she?
She's a nun.
She's a principal.
Oh, principal.
She's a
Oh,
teacher.
yeah. And a teacher. Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
She teaches by hitting. And
Yeah.
how does he teach?
That
By
makes
showing
sense.
people boys his nails.
Oh, I like that. That's not very nice.
I wear them
He's all
long.
hugs and.
What? Oh no, it's this.
And little dancing girls.
It's this. Wait. I got an idea for my sermon. That really messes with their head.
Oh.
Right in the middle of a conversation. Oh wait.
I'm
Yeah.
taller.
I've got it. What are you writing about? Intolerance? Well, I'm just writing it. I'm getting this
He's had a-
idea.
He's got an idea, yeah.
Which is a really great impact character, or, sorry, influence character moment.
And you even see it at the end, there, I think you could even attribute conceiving an idea to, you know, you never know where the wind's gonna take you, but you have to follow the wind.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
you have to accept the ideas, you know, this new idea or the new whatever,
And all of his sermons are like, you know,
ideas. Ideas about gossip, ideas about
doubt, like,
doubt.
hey,
It's
we're all in it
yeah.
together, come on. He's like trying to get, he's manipulating everybody.
Yeah.
And I would say when you were arguing
He's trying to plant ideas in people's head.
for people to see him a certain way, I would interpret that as getting them to conceive of him as a nice guy, as opposed to just playing the role as being the impact.
But why did he make this sermon about gossip? You know, it's to plant the idea in people's
Yes.
head that gossip is bad and you know, smearing is bad.
Plant the
Yeah.
idea. So does everybody like that, or does anybody have any arguments for the other?
Some tweets that we
Or does that seem, yeah.
We didn't really cover impulsive responses
Oh.
in the West.
Okay.
I'm just pointing it out.
Well, do you think, or do you still have an argument for impulsive responses?
No, I'm sorry, it was contemplation.
Contemplations.
Yes.
Well, there's a really great argument, which is if you go down here,
The doubt.
you have this word doubt here,
Yeah.
which is kind of a cheat.
But questioning the validity.
Wait a second.
Well, it's right there.
Wait a second. Anyways, there's a chance that might be part of it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I wanted to see the definition for contemplation, actually.
Oh, contemplation, there you go.
Present considerations. When one has all the facts, knows all the impact, both positive and negative, one is fully aware of the detrimental consequences and still decides on the poor course of action, there's something wrong with the way we want to rise to conclusion. I think that kind of talks about the subject matter.
Yeah, that might be part of it. And if you're having trouble trying to figure this out, especially in your own story, it's always nice to dive down in. Or if you're more of a holistic thinker, it's sometimes nicer to start at the bottom because you'll get, you would have seen doubt probably right away. And like, I think that's actually exactly what I want to deal with. So we're good with that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if that's the overall concern, you'll also notice that Dramatica automatically makes it the story goal, too. Would anybody have a definition of the story goal of contemplation?
stay or leave.
Well, I mean, it does speak to what we put on the old S is the story goal.
Which is what?
Whether
Is
he's
the
gonna
priest
get-
abusing boys or not?
Or whether he's gonna get booted or not, right? Yeah.
So this is really cool. It's very different because usually all the goals are usually obtaining or doing, or they're usually process stuff. And if not, they're usually external, the present or the future, which are nice to kind of, but when it comes to a fixed attitude or a mindset, what is kind of the mindset she's going for? What is she actually trying to,
As a protagonist.
as a protagonist, yeah.
Are you talking about like in general?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the big picture, because this is the overall story.
Oh.
And if nobody has an example, that's fine, we can keep going. We can come back to it.
Well, I mean,
What's
so
your main
I've always thought part of the definition or the penumbra of contemplation is that it also goes to the weight you give to deciding factors. And so in making her decisions, her goal is to also give the correct weight to the various factors in arriving at the decision to get rid of him.
Is it to protect
Okay.
the kids, protect everybody? Like that's why she does the things she does?
Protecting's more like an external thing, right? Like,
Oh, okay.
unless she was trying to give some mindset that could have protected the kids.
Oh, okay.
It's trying to affect change in people's minds and what they think about.
Okay. It's really getting like this.
No, I'm trying not to say the answer. That's why.
I mean, here,
But no,
I think
can move on.
here's the thing. I think thematically speaking, the story raises the question: is she accusing him because there really is a there, or is she accusing him because she's prejudiced against his, more progressive attitudes?
Okay.
And that's still a question mark at the end. It's up to us to decide for ourselves which it is. But I think it is an exploration of, what exactly is it in our head that is driving us to, pursue a course of action. The Viola Davis character is pursuing a particular course of action. Sister Aloysius is, because of the contemplations inside their head, which may or may not be, accurate as a definition, or may or may not be constructive. I'm just trying to think about other examples of that because
You're talking around it, which is great.
Is it protecting
Getting
her
close.
faith? Like the truth, or
It's
what?
removing doubt. It's removing all doubt. That's
Removing all doubt.
from everyone else.
Well, even
well,
from
hold on a
herself.
second.
Oh, sorry.
So what do you mean by
Removing all doubt that he is guilty.
removing all doubt? Okay, so her goal is removing all doubt that
And if that's the goal, then you're right. Then I think she's failed.
he is guilty.
Because Amy Adams says she still has doubt. Monsignor has doubt, and everyone else has doubt.
Mm-hmm.
She has no doubt about
What does
that.
Amy Adams say?
I still believe him, or something. I don't know.
No, I think she says I still have
Or I still have doubt.
no.
Well, she says whatever it
No,
is.
she says I still believe him.
I believe it. Yeah, she says she believes it. But whatever, she didn't remove that.
Oh, okay, yes.
Everyone else still has doubt.
So removing all doubt that he's guilty is another way. So this is the negative way of saying the goal. So what would the
Yeah, I mean,
positive?
If you remove doubt, that's not negative.
Getting
But-
people to believe he's guilty.
Yeah, or to consider him guilty.
Consider him guilty.
Okay.
So at the end of the movie or the end of the narrative,
Do we consider him guilty or not? No.
was he considered guilty?
We consider him not.
By everyone in the story, or
The
Or
overall
the
story.
In the overall story, no. Seems to be only Sister
So
Aloysius.
we also consider him not guilty.
Oh, Jesus. So yeah, that's why to me failure, because the way this works too. So if contemplation is the goal, that means the consequence of failing to achieve that goal would be the present. So what's the consequence?
Status quo? Exactly.
Yeah. Nothing's changed. It's the same. You can just go touch kids in a different place. Oh, not a different place.
different setting.
Jesus, you guys are wrong. The consequence is the status quo has been kept. Which the silence in the room is because, God, it's really depressing. Because
We'll
it's like failure bad.
see Spotlight.
Spotlight.
Oh,
Yes.
we did see
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
No,
That is
terrible too.
I think that
This
was
is
a success, though.
Yeah.
The prequel, though, right?
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
This is where it starts. Or, well,
Oh yeah.
probably start
You
with
see what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Actually, that's a really good point. Okay. Okay. So now that we have that, and everybody's super depressed, which is what a tragedy is supposed to do. What?
I'll just say
Oh,
that that feels like a coda. It feels like
Like a what?
a coda,
Alright.
Like part of the story.
not part of the story. It feels like the story ends, he's out,
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you stop the film right there,
And he's gone?
yeah, and that was just and then just roll credits, wouldn't you feel a little empty inside?
No.
No, there'd be resolve for me. Because if I know that he's out of the picture at that school, and that's the only thing that that's the scope of the story.
But
What,
is it
even if you didn't know that he
Yeah,
got
we
a
never leave the
promotion.
story.
But
We never leave the school.
But what's the overall story about? Is the overall story about the school, saving the school, protecting the school? Or is the overall story about changing people's attitudes?
That's including his,
I mean, that,
right?
Changing their attitudes about what?
well, trying to consider him guilty is a perfect way of describing that goal. To affect some attitude change.
As opposed to traditionalism or progressivism.
Yeah, but I mean, just like, I mean, you could just think of it in a nebulous sort of thing. Was there like a different mindset by the end of the film? No, it's the
Yeah.
same. The problem's still going on. And the silence is like, everybody's just like
Yeah.
super depressed because
Her hope was to change him, so, you know, to confess and change him. So
Well,
what
no, I think the
happened?
hope was like,
mean,
I'm gonna save the world and I can reaffirm my faith and all that stuff. And there's no change. It's like everything stays the same.
Okay.
So the next thing to do is to dive down into the overall story and look at the different elements. Unless, would people prefer other through lines, or can we do the overall story first? Only because it's got a nice big word there that may or may not have impact on things. So looking down at the overall story, you have investigation, appraisal, reappraisal, and doubt. Do any of those two feel
You
like
should have named it reappraisal.
prerequisites starring
Yeah,
Meryl
exactly.
Streep and or preconditions?
Preconditions, much
Deficiency. What does a pair feel stronger to people, or I mean, it's actually all four to me feel really super strong. It's kind of hard to tell which one's like the problem. Okay, so then what you can do, just like you did with the concerns, you can also look under and see the group of four and try and get an idea of like which four seems to be the most problematic. Does anybody
I mean,
have a
here's the thing,
feeling?
the word certainty.
Oh, actually, wait, can you just wait 1 second?
Yeah,
And everybody else get a chance
okay.
before, if anybody
Yeah,
has
no,
a thought.
necessarily.
Well, I know what you're gonna say.
I'm not necessarily,
We're in the same place, I think.
You hear that word a lot.
But Phil, just because everybody's heard Sandy's voice for 20 years, so
yeah.
if somebody else,
That's true.
Where's that next word, certainty, underneath the investigation? And
okay, and why is that important to you?
Because she seems super certain of everything that she's doing the entire time until very end.
Okay, so
But
this
keep
is
in
the
mind that
overall story too,
Just
just
overall
remember
story,
that.
yeah.
So does that come into play in other people as well?
Let's see.
For sure her, because she
Yeah.
actually says it, so.
Yeah, that
word
word
comes
comes up a lot.
I guess Sister James has a lack of certainty.
Okay, that's good.
And then, should I look at the antagonist or not?
You can do whatever you want. He's part of the overall story.
I mean, he seems pretty certain that they should leave well enough alone.
Okay, what about Viola Davis?
She also seems pretty certain that
Well, she seems more concerned with like acceptance, non-acceptance of her son and who he is with her father and school and all that.
All right, so you like certainty. What about?
And I'll say this, here's the thing, if this is a failure story form, it seems like it seems like certainty, based on how we've been discussing this, that certainty actually would be the solution, I think.
Okay.
And potentiality is the problem. It's the potentiality that he is, abused and could abuse more. It is the potentiality of what might happen to the kid if he doesn't stay in the school until June. But as you pointed out, the certainty is never actually reached. I'm just throwing some stuff out there. So, yeah.
This is for the overall story.
This is the overall story.
This is the
Well,
overall
we can look at the other ones too. Usually it's
And-
the easier
and you-
one to
So
And you
it can
see
be in
symptoms
any
of
these,
reactions.
right?
Hold on a second. What?
It can be in any of these.
It can
Or
be
just-
so the overall story issue will be one of these four: either investigation, appraisal, reappraisal, or doubt, and that'll be like where all the trouble's coming from.
Okay.
Either all the trouble's coming from people investigating things they shouldn't, or it's people doubting, or it's people appraising, like, oh, I think he's
okay.
fine, or it's people reappraising. So you can see all four kind of feel nice. So what you do is you look underneath and get a holistic feeling for like, what are the problems? Does it seem like the problems are about certainty and
I think
potentiality,
it's about protection.
proaction, reaction, don't interrupt me?
Well, she's really.
And the other one is, no, I'm just kidding.
That's another quadrant, actually.
Reduction, production, evaluation,
Oh, no, projection's
reevaluation.
there.
Yeah,
You asked about
protection.
Viola Davis, right? I mean, she's clearly reduction.
I feel like
She's reduction? How is she reduction?
reduction.
It's not a big deal.
Okay.
As long as, you know, he gets through the year, if he's getting ditto as well.
Okay. I would definitely, if I was doing the,
You know.
yeah, I could see reduction, sure.
It's a very expensive education.
So
Do any of those four?
I
So
mean-
how about, should I jump up to,
Well, I was going to make an argument for reaction or proaction.
Oh,
in
okay.
that-
And
just
inaction.
an argument.
yeah.
Is that, okay, you know, as a symptom, reaction as a symptom is that, okay, like, the priest touched the you know, the blonde boy and he pulls away. And so that reaction, you know, and then, leads to proaction. She tries to, as a protagonist, address some of these reactive issues with proaction. I'm just trying to think of more examples, but anyway,
Okay.
let's jump up to the main character.
so let's go up to the main character, and she is all about, you know, learning and teaching, learning about her faith. We have prerequisites, preconditions, strategy, and analysis, which are not really like fun words to play with.
Mhm.
Prerequisites are kind of like the things you have to do, like the essential steps in order to learn, like, you know, these are the lesson plans, that kind of thing. Preconditions are like stuff that's put upon you by other people. Like, okay, I have to, in order to learn, I have to go to this person's class or take care of this thing. Strategy is how you actually go about planning it out, your plan of attack. And analysis is like, oh, how are things going, that kind of stuff. And then underneath, you know, also she has a quad of elements that'll be her primary problem. And because we know she's a changed character, right? And we know she goes from a relative person of faith, and then it has it kind of destroyed down. We know that she'll move from her problem to her solution, which would be the diagonal from it.
But since she ends up in a bad place, does she move from her solution to her problem?
No. No, and a change, it's always the problem gets replaced by the solution. Whether or not that's a good or a bad thing is a different subject matter.
Okay, given that, I mean, again, her, she has moved, it seems like she is moved by her certainty, obviously, that word's used a lot. And and she moves over into potentiality, which she has emotional issues with, because it's like now, now I'm not sure what to think. There's too much potentiality up here. There's too many other potentials that, the potentials that, that my faith isn't, my faith in the church, isn't what I thought it was, or the potential that I was wrong about the priest, or the potential that my whole career choice, is it was the wrong track. All these different potentialities that she can't handle, and that's what makes her, break down at the end. So, so I think that pair is a strong argument for problem and solution.
Would you have, so then that would mean her issue is prerequisite, so is there any indication of that?
Well, there's certainly an issue because she is moving forward without having a proper, she has all this circumstantial evidence.
But for her personally, like her as the nun, are there any specific examples of her having
Well, there's her protocols.
protocol? Oh, like what would be a protocol?
Well, she's got call the priest, or she's got to, you know, she has to follow the hierarchy. Those are the protocols.
And what else? It's a really great example. Which may not be obvious, but.
Does it have to do with the almost blind nun?
Oh, what?
You know, she's trying to protect the nun who's going blind.
Uh-huh. That would sound more preconditions, but yeah.
I think so, yeah.
How about like, oh, you know, if a priest is gonna be in the room, the door has to be kept open.
Right.
That's a huge issue for her.
Mhm.
That's a protocol
There has to be a
thing.
third party.
There has to be a third party. That's a very prerequisite sort of thing, protocol.
But also just her whole position about, you know, the proper way, you know, to run a school. You don't have barrettes in your area. You don't, you know,
Mhm.
you keep, you know, the girls away from the boys, and you know, there's, you know, there are prerequisites to conducting, you know, to doing her job properly, to conducting this environment properly.
Mhm.
You know, there are prerequisites, and you must not, you absolutely must not defy those prerequisites, or you will suffer my wrath.
And certainly one of those is not abusing children.
Yes,
Yes.
for sure.
Or using ballpoint pens.
Ah,
Yeah,
that's another
yeah,
good one too.
absolutely, because it makes people write sloppy.
Like
Right,
monkeys. Right like monkeys.
Well, she was right.
but still, here's the thing. But that's the counterpoint of preconditions. So yes, preconditions are playing a part, and so I think that becomes a thematic conflict right now with that example, because she's laying down a precondition, but is that a valuable, you know, is that a valuable value to hold versus what is truly required for, you know, for proper education and proper conduct? So I think you do find that the thematic conflict in that prerequisite versus precondition. You know, preconditions, no ballpoint pens, but is that really valuable? You know, so I think there is an intrinsic thematic argument being laid out there.
Okay, does anybody have any arguments? Anything else they feel
I think
strongly
there's
about?
one thing she also says is you have to, prerequisites, you have to step away. She keeps addressing that. You have to step away from God to
Oh,
find.
In the
that's great.
Yeah. To
in the pursuit of
in
wrongdoing.
pursuit of wrong, you have to step away
That's
from God.
it. That's what it is.
Okay.
Step away from God. What was it again?
In the
In
pursuit
the
of
pursuit of like wrongdoings, you have to step away from God. Step further from God. She says it twice.
Yes.
Two different ways.
The context changes, right? Doesn't somebody else say that to her?
No, she says it to
No,
Amy
she
Adams
says it
twice.
first.
Amy Adams says
She
it
said
first,
that
right?
then stepping
Oh,
away
yeah,
from
she
God.
says, and she
Well,
says
of
you
course
have
you
to.
have to, yeah.
Right.
In the pursuit of.
Oh, in his work, or to do his work, you have to do it. You have to step away. Is the
Oh, to
first
do his
context.
work?
Well,
Oh.
that's the first context.
And then she changes the context.
Or in his service or something.
In the pursuit of wrongdoing.
Right.
Right. That's brilliant. Okay, so everybody likes prerequisites, right?
Well, it seems too like the prerequisites are problematic for her because they don't make anyone want to believe her. I think she seems kind of irrational and extreme because
Yes.
of her prerequisites. So it's not easy for her to get people to see her point of view.
Old hat.
Yeah.
So does everybody like certainty as her problem? Does she seem motivated by certainty?
Yeah.
She
Yes.
does, but she's very aware of it.
Okay.
So that's my question.
But is she aware that it's a
I don't
problem?
think she's aware.
She's aware that she has it, but is
Yeah.
she aware that it's problematic for her? To her, you know, she takes it as a, you know, as an example of strength, as a, you know.
Right, but
Um,
that-
And then her symptom is she can't
That
see
she
any other
doesn't need
possibilities.
facts.
Oh, that's good.
She can't see any other possibility.
So the way this works is once you show, once we set her problem as certainty, it made her symptom possibility and her response probability. So if you asked her what her actual problem was, she would say, what were you just saying?
I just don't see any other possibility.
Right, but then you also had something like
What?
impossibility too, I thought.
Sorry.
Wasn't there something else you said?
Uh,
Or maybe that's what you said, that there wasn't, she doesn't see any other
she
possibility.
doesn't see any other possibility.
Okay.
Yeah. She's lacking
And is
possibility.
there a response of probability? I mean, where does probability play?
Well,
Sort of personally.
It'd be like, look, she did this. It's likely that
he's gonna do it
he did
again.
again, or the shirt was in the.
If you don't Or well, I think the whole
There's
Penn
a-
argument is a possibility,
Well,
a probability.
I guess you could say that we should respond, I mean, he's because of this and this and this, he's probably guilty, so, you know.
Because she's being driven by that certainty, and
But even if he hasn't done it yet, he's on his way to doing it with them, right?
is that for me?
Probably.
Yeah.
And then at the end, the solution of potentiality, I think somebody was saying, now there's the potential that everything she believes is wrong or false,
Or flawed, or whatever.
right? Which is super depressing. So that would be her solution. So then that would mean in the overall story,
Uncertainty.
that's where people are putting it. Certainty is the overall story problem, which everybody gave great examples of every character being driven by some kind of problem of certainty. I know sometimes when it comes to success or failure, sometimes it's been said theoretically when it goes to the solution that's an automatic success. But in recent years it's also been said in a holistic sense, the solution can still come into play, but it still could be a failure. In my, for me, the OS problem of certainty is like, this is a for sure thing that's just gonna keep happening. I mean, it's just gonna sit there, which is a super depressing thing.
Well, wait a minute, we still have to.
And I loved your example of the reaction to proaction, which is like, these kids are reacting to being touched and stuff, and so we have to go after them. That's the proaction part.
Like after the bully, you know, I mean, the priest's response to the blonde kid bullying the black kid. There's probably other examples, but.
Oh yeah, he's being proactive actually. He's proactively being compassionate towards all these kids
Mm-hmm.
in a very disturbing way.
But you go
Because he's
to.
afraid of the reaction that other kids will beat up on him because of the color of his skin.
Mhm.
Well, and definitely Viola Davis is concerned with the reaction of her father, or her son's father. He finds out because of his nature, which is great too. The problem of his son or her son's nature is also fixed attitude. It's a huge concern there. So then for Father Flynn, Philip Seymour Hoffman, his problem is deduction. His symptom would be reaction, his response proaction, and his solution, which would come in occasionally, and would kind of demotivate him when people would infer things. But then he comes back with deduction.
How's his problem with deduction?
Well, what does he do every time he's like called out? How does he cover his ass?
Well, by shutting down and just like he furrows his brow and then eventually
Well,
he
it's
says,
good.
"Oh, well, here's why I was not talking is because I'm trying to protect his position as an altar boy, but now you've ruined that."
Right. So when did you hear about this? This was told to you when? When did you smell alcohol on his breath?
Okay.
Yeah, he's always opening the door
To doubt
to doubt.
through deduction. And also the sermon at the beginning is from a point of view of deduction, like we're all in this together.
Click on deduction. Let's see the brief dictionary definition.
You always gave the example, because I never knew the difference between the two. Induction is doing this and you get a little bit, you see the similarities and you infer.
Infer the bigger picture, or a bigger conclusion.
Whereas
and
deduction
deduction
is like,
is taking the
well, you got all these ideas, wait, let's get down to the essential. I mean, he needed help. He needed some time away from the other kids. Like, he uses the deductive reasoning or it's almost like
Synthesizing.
messing with people's conclusions or a process of elimination. Well, go ahead and call Father McGinn, that's a more of a deductive sort of thing. But then when people start inferring, it's like, what are you talking about? It would never be like that. And it's like, I'll have to come up with another sermon.
Well, or is this problem that you've deduced that I'm I'm up to something, and
That would be more clear, yes. It's a
Yeah,
problem
but
for him when people
damn those
deduce
deducing people.
why he's putting his shirt back in the locker, which
Right,
I'm sure
right.
got dirty somehow.
Now you go up to, I think that we still have 2 story forms left, and that's
Yes,
because
we do.
right, because we don't have
Because-
failure and
Well,
success currently
I think we
selected. But
do-
if we pick between those
Okay.
that 2 groups of 4 for the relationship.
story between the priest and the nun.
Oh, I
and the
like
power play.
non-acceptance and acceptance. That whole thing about tolerance and intolerance is it certainly plays a factor in their argument, their emotional
Okay.
argument.
So acceptance would be the problem.
Well, according to that, yeah. Although I would more likely put that in the symptom and response, but I'm just saying that certainly comes up as a topic. It may not necessarily be.
For
Is
sure.
acceptance a problem, or is the problem that they don't accept the hierarchy? It's not. So it's just we never get to the solution.
Well,
The problem with the relationship is they don't honor the hierarchy. The hierarchy.
do they not honor the hierarchy?
No.
How so?
She's constantly. He's breaking protocol all the time, and she's breaking protocol.
How did she break
How did
protocol?
she
She
break
lied
it,
about breaking protocol, but she didn't actually do it.
Like the example of the chair, sitting in the chair. What was the problem there?
What was the problem sitting in the chair?
Honestly, that's an example. If you can say that the impact character is opposite of the main character on the mental sex, which the Dramatica model doesn't demand it, but it often turns out that way. That's a very holistic thing that he did, is sitting in her chair. It's a very, and it's also psychology,
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what we're
But
talking about
if
here.
if she was following protocol of the relationship, there would be no investigation. There would be no problem.
You mean with the investigation?
Well,
With
what?
anything.
But just think of like the power play between who's in charge and who's not. What is their central argument?
That he's in that. Well, he says he's in charge, but she doesn't care.
Okay, and what is that like an argument? What's the base element of that argument? Is it acceptance?
Well, that
or
you're trying to smear me. Why are you trying to smear me?
Is it acceptance or is it certainty? Where's that coming from?
What's the question again?
The whole argument, kind of like the whole power play, I'm using the example of the scene where he comes in, sits down, pour me some coffee, this is what you're supposed to be doing. Like, is that an acceptance thing or is that a certainty thing? Like, I'm sure of my position. I'm sure of who's the boss here, of the relative balance of power.
Okay, and so certainty could, so basically right now the problem is either acceptance or acceptance was going to be the solution
Yeah,
of
it's
the
either
problem.
the problem is acceptance or the problem is certainty.
And certainty's the other one.
Yeah.
And so, then you have deduction and induction playing in the relationship.
So their symptom would be induction, which is
Inferring.
Yeah, well, this little shit happens.
Actually, okay, all right. Okay.
right. Well, let's do that. Let's do the symptom of induction instead. Let's do that, and then we get one story form,
And then it's probably a failure.
Yeah.
And it's a
which
failure.
would make it a failure.
Yeah.
But let's rule out the other symptom and response just for.
Oh, okay, sure.
because-
So the other one would be, the other symptom I believe would be reaction, and the response would be proaction.
Well, I don't see proaction in the relationship through line. I like acceptance and non-acceptance, but that's not necessarily
Right.
the whole. It's definitely, like I said, well, there are a lot of terms that they cover the chart really well, and so they're not
Huge
always
fan
going to
of
be in story form.
What would it need to be proaction, reaction?
To be proaction, reaction.
Just what are problems of proaction and problems of reaction?
Yeah, like if he was not reacting the way that she would
was-
expect him to react, or he was overreacting in a
He
certain
seems
way.
to react consistent with anyone.
There, I mean,
that's
there
accused.
are times
Yeah.
when he's like, I'm gonna get you fired. And that's
And she doesn't really,
proaction.
Yeah, but
but
there's
it's
no.
not surprising.
Yeah. Whereas I feel like induction and deduction are like huge between the two of them.
Well, his reaction was so good that you weren't raised doubt in the audience.
Yeah,
He was-
because he's just like,
he
what?
covered
Actually, I do
himself.
like induction. I do like induction. That's as the symptom.
Yeah.
And the response is deduction, which is, like, kind of give me more evidence,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give me more to work with here.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. All right.
Wait, so the induction is, wow, you've done a really good job of coming up with all of those things, but it doesn't follow. Right?
Yes.
Yeah. And again, the movie intentionally leaves that big question mark at the end. So,
Except
So it's not-
they
it's not-
do send him to St. Jerome's. And St. Jerome is the one who suffered from all the sexual fantasies. He had to throw himself into the briar patch to end the temptations.
this guy's good.
Wow.
That's incredible.
This guy's good.
That is insanely great. Thank you.
It doesn't work. How about cost and dividends?
Costs and dividends. So costs are conceiving an idea. Come on, that's huge, right?
This is never gonna end.
Well, and also just that you're conceiving that you're getting the idea that maybe what you believe in
The
is not,
system isn't fair.
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And that's a huge negative cost, which just piles on the whole negativity of the failure story outcome. Yeah, forewarnings to me that Viola Davis scene is a nice. There's like an understanding there, or she's starting to understand that people are okay with it in some respect. I could see that as being a forewarning.
That there's this
failure.
potentiality that it's not the worst thing in the world. given all the circumstances.
Well, isn't the lesson for the nun that God works through doubt?
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
I mean, the only positive spin here is that it is possible, or I think it's possible or potential that God can work through all things,
Okay.
no matter how
And
shitty.
you're saying that's a learning thing? The gathering information? Catalyst of appraisal in the overall story? Yeah.
And every time
Guilty.
you see some evidence.
Right. And then repulsion is the inhibitor. That feels nice.
Well, I was hoping repulsion would be in there somewhere.
It's in the dancing girl. I keep
Benchmark
telling you.
of memories.
Because she's magnetic.
That's right.
Well, no, it's a little mirror. And it's like how is it that the mirror makes the girl dance?
No, it's a magnetic
It's a
type
it's a
thing.
mag-
Oh, I thought it was a mirror. That
Or is it
somehow
is it the light?
What's the benchmark
The
of
light.
memories?
Wow, that's crazy. His unique ability is need. Father Flynn. These boys need love.
He needs love.
Yeah, which direction is that arrow?
I don't know. And her unique ability is strategy, which is
What's the benchmark of memories in the overall story?
benchmark of memories in the overall story. Well, how
Is that when
easily-
we're talking about her sort of retelling of the events that she saw, or?
No, I think like for the story form, maybe how easy it is for people to just put it out of their mind and forget about it. Could make her.
She does.
More or
Sister
less.
Aloysius does remember it from St. Boniface.
Is the benchmark the progress toward success or the progress toward
Well, it's progress toward
Yes.
conclusion, whatever that
Yeah,
is.
whatever it is.
Yes, yeah, either way.
Which one?
Well, it's the progress toward whatever conclusion. It's the closer you get to an outcome,
The more.
the
you can
more intense the benchmark becomes, and whatever the outcome that is.
Or less. It's like a touch point, like a measuring sort of. It's based on problem-solving style, right? So, as you're going through that concern or that goal, you're using like a measuring stick, and it's different for linear thinkers than it is for holistic. And so you're focused on, this is the concern that I'm focused on, which is the contemplations, right? I want everybody to consider him guilty. And now, okay, I'm considering you, so are people people forget, are people okay with just putting it out of their mind? Are they okay with forgetting it? And the more evidence she has that it's like, oh, I
People are willing for just to forget
just
about
to
it.
forget, then
I mean,
it's like,
Viola Davis
shoot.
is just kind of forget about it, you know.
Yeah, do I need to work harder at it? Do I need, is this like, where am I headed towards it? I don't necessarily think every story point in this
Is there.
is
right.
there, like that. That's why I think it's so short. Like I was really surprised it's only like an hour 40. But you could definitely put that in there in the story and it would fit. Like it would make sense. And her understanding that feels good for her benchmark.
And then his would be conceptualizing or developing a
Yeah,
plan.
scheming ways to get boys in
Yeah,
there.
to still come out, you know, kind of squeaky clean. And then, but the past.
That's good. We're not doing this. We're not doing this the old way anymore.
That would be one way, or that this has happened before, and it's going to happen again.
I don't think that's part of the relationship.
Oh, actually, then I would say it's the way that the relationship between priests and nuns have been.
Right.
Is that what you're saying?
It's the way it's been, but it's also like he doesn't want to do things the old way, the old school.
Oh,
approach.
okay. Yeah, I guess I could see that. But overall, I think this story form seems to be the closest approximation to the author's intent. Which I thought was great because when I first saw it, I was like, I don't know what that is. And, this to me is actually great, and it's really interesting too because usually we don't get to see overall story and fixed attitude. I think that's why it's a Rotten Tomatoes 78 because it doesn't deserve a 78, but I think most audiences are like, I'm not really into fixed attitude stories.
Do you think it deserved more than a 78 or less?
Oh
than
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. No, I thought it was very.
That's great.
Yeah,
That was a good-
I was really shocked. I was like, oh, when I brought it up to rent it, and they're like, well, 78? Oh. I was like, yeah, it's not a good movie. It's I remember it. It's a broken story, and then I watched the whole thing, and I was like, oh wait, actually, it's actually pretty strong in that.
No,
and the acting on both parts is insane. Which they didn't win Oscars. They got nominated, but nobody actually won. But yeah, it's just I think all the different examples we came up with, I think it's a nice balance of all the different story points to actually get across this point that, like what you said about if you learn, what was the thing? Learning. God works in mysterious ways.
Well, I think the possibility is that God can work through anything, including doubt.
Oh,
I think that's the underlying
underline hope for it. Yeah. So does anybody have any other questions? So that'll do it for tonight. Thank you so much.